What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Pillow Talk with Paul Goneau. My guest today is musician, artist, collector, and father, Chris Zenga.
What's going on? How are you?
Good to have you, brother. I'm good, man. Well, actually, if we're going to be honest here, I'm not going to give you the soft answer. I've had a pretty rough week. I got laid off for the third time in my job, and then literally the same day, I got a message from, I do a monthly show at Comedy Bar in Toronto called The Monthly Show, and it hasn't really been monthly, I started it last August, and due to COVID, there was 2 shows that I couldn't do, just because of lockdowns and just capacity restrictions. There was no point in really putting on a show. And then I got an email, same day I got laid off, from the guy who runs Comedy Bar, who I talked to and booked my shows through. And he was like, yeah, man, I double booked that day. I'm so sorry. And if I don't give it to these other people, I'm in breach of contract. So I have to. And we don't have any contracts. It's sure. I guess through emails. That's how.
Yeah.
And so I understand, but it's just now I won't have a show in May. I guess this is going to come out on the 24th or something. So the show was supposed to be on the 13th. And sorry to break the illusion. Record a little bit ahead of time. But that's how my week has been, man. How are you?
Not too bad. I was laid off for almost a year in the last wave of the pandemic. So I'm just now kind of getting back at it. It's been about, 6 months now that I've been back at it more regularly. Things feel a little bit more normal. My wife and I both got sick in that first wave. So she was hospitalized. I wasn't.
Were you guys sick at the same time?
Yeah, I actually, they determined that I got it when I went for my vaccine from the Vax clinic. That's where I picked it up. So I got it, I came home, and then she got it 3 days later, and they took her to the hospital, and when the ambulance driver was there, he's like, man, I think you gotta come. And I said, I got 3 kids. What do I do with them? Because, I can't send them to my elderly parents, because if they've got it, then we just pass it on.
Yeah.
He said, well, it's up to you. You can choose. And I chose to stay because I learned that if both parents have to go, apparently there's this camp they bring the kids to for a week, and they just kind of keep them isolated or something. And this is what they were doing at the very beginning of all this pandemic. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to...
That's wild.
Yeah. I said, this can't happen. I'm not going to send my kids to a COVID camp while I'm in the hospital recovering. So I stayed home and they called the doctor every day and checked in with him that way, so I could be there and try not to. And this is the hard part, because and I know COVID's a touchy subject, and I know people who have it now are saying they have a sniffle and a headache, where I thought I was gonna die. In a pool of sweat in my basement, die. My wife was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and she called me when I said, I'm not coming home. This is going to get me. I know most people aren't feeling that now. The strain has kind of waned a little bit, that it's not as strong. We're all vaccinated, or most of us are vaccinated, or whatever, and it's kind of helping with that. So, when we had it, it was fucking terrible. It was the worst possible thing I've ever had in my entire life. So even now, almost a year later, they call it the long COVID. We're still feeling the effects of it. I still don't feel well. I still feel like I have the flu every single day, all day long.
Yeah, eh?
It doesn't really go away, right? So, I definitely empathize with this, finding this path you're on and then getting knocked the fuck off it, and then kind of getting back on, kind of, then getting knocked off again.
Yeah.
But
it's definitely a unique time to be alive.
It is, and I'm trying. I think like most of us are, at least, I can speak for creative types. I don't know. I'm trying to do more things to stay creative. I'm trying to do more things that engage my mind. I'm trying to do things that I can do alone in my home safely, and not kind of let what's going on around me extinguish the artist in me, that kind of thing. And my daughter she's at a drama school and she just made a short film, so I helped her with that, and she's a musician, and it's like I'm engaging in
that's awesome.
in my kids too, to kind of just fill that tank, because a lot of the times the tank is empty. I think it's empty for a lot of people.
How old are your kids?
My eldest is 16, my son is 13, and then my youngest Ruby is 10, almost 11.
Okay, I don't know. When we met, it was through MMT, and I think I might have met your oldest daughter. I'm not sure. I met one of them, and they recognized my hand tattoos, and I was like, "You're doing it right, Chris. You're doing it right."
Yeah, I think I just shoot off on a tangent for a second.
Okay.
December 1st, Halloween decorations or Christmas decorations come out.
Yeah.
December 1st. Sometimes mid-November. Like Halloween is all year long for me.
Okay.
The 31st is the kind of the apex of that, and then the very next day, November, Halloween decorations go away, and I got Christmas on my mind.
All right.
Sometime between November 1st and December 1st, we start to decorate, and the first movie that goes on is Home Alone. Every year.
Yeah.
So, fast forward, the kids would know the hand tattoos because Home Alone is a big, big part of our lives. Movies are a big part of my life. I don't want to get off with the question you asked.
No, it's okay, man.
Movies are a big part of my life. Like my dad, he took me to my first movie. He introduced me to cinema. He introduced me to movies at home. He bought the first VCR that was available when they came out in Canada. He had a Betamax machine. He bought a Laserdisc and the first DVDs. Like he had all that shit, and he introduced me to that. So I think it's my responsibility to expose my kids to all those movies that meant so much to me.
Do you have any of like the stuff that was in his collection in yours?
Absolutely.
You have. Okay, so you sent me a bunch of photos.
Yeah.
You just have like a room, like a man cave, if you will.
Yeah.
Full of your stuff.
It was our theater room. It still is the theater room. But it's kind of been the room that I put all of my stuff in.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So I paint little miniature models for a board game, and I put those on display. All my action figures are there. I've got like 30 or 40 boxes in storage that you didn't even see. It's all vintage Ninja Turtles, Star Wars, Sectars, Thundercats, just stuff that I don't have room for. Yeah. And I rotate it sometimes. So I get some stuff out, right?
We're like going through some things, and I've been neglecting this one.
No, for
this
real.
This is a gem. I gotta put,
This totally. I look at it, I haven't even like thought about this. So I'll put away something that has been out for a while, and I'll put the other thing in. And when my dad passed away, we got a bunch of his stuff, and like I've got the original Star Wars films on VHS, and I know you were mentioning last week that you're not really into Star Wars, but like I have a vague memory. So Return of the Jedi came out in 1977, so I would have been 4, and I know my dad took me to see it in the theaters because he told me he did, but I don't really have a core memory of this moment. Mm-hmm. Not really. The first movie he took me to see that was a movie, because I picked it, was we opened the newspaper, and this is back in the day when the movie times were in the newspaper. I'm 43. So the demographic of your audience may get it, some may not.
No, but I definitely get it. Like I remember, like we would sometimes just drive by the theater and see what was playing and the times they were playing at. That's how we got the info sometimes too.
I don't think like when you go to see like Far From Home, you book that ticket a year in advance.
Oh yeah, like, totally. I got my Doctor Strange tickets like 2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is one of the things. You see the trailer on the Super Bowl, it's like, oh fuck it. When the trailer's over, go on and book your ticket now. That's how they get you. So that's how we do it. But I remember back in the day, you would drive by the theater, it's like, fucking Gremlins! And then you would just go see it. Mm-hmm. There wouldn't be a plan to go see it. You just like take 2 hours of your life, stop, and go see it.
Stop fully.
And this is why like Sundays back in the day, you couldn't work on Sundays. Nothing was open. But like theaters were open. So this normally happened on a Sunday. Because what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Nowhere else to go. You can't get groceries. The world is shut down. So you go see a movie. So I remember opening the page and my dad, the big big picture, black and white, Dolph Lundgren as He-Man. Masters of the Universe, man. And I'm like, we got to see that. So Dad scooped me up and we drove down Central Parkway Cinemas on the corner of Central Parkway and I want to say Central Parkway and Burnhamthorpe or something. I don't know. Somewhere
not too far from here.
Not too far from here. It's the Central Parkway Plaza is still there. It's where like you can get your license renewed and shit now. Mm-hmm. But the cinema's long gone. And we got there and Masters was next week. But this week was Monster Squad. Fuck me. I love Monster Squad. Man, that was my first real introduction to monsters. And it was like Monster Squad took all the vintage Universal classic horror movie monsters, but like kind of put a twist on them so they wouldn't be any kind of copyright infringement.
Right.
And after walking out of that theater, I'm like, I need to know more about this shit. So my dad showed me Dracula and Creature from the Black Lagoon and all the Bela Lugosi stuff and all the Boris Karloff stuff. And then that was my real initiation into classic horror, which just kind of exploded to my love of monster. Like you've got your hands are Home Alone, my hands are classic monsters. So this is kind of where it started, is that moment. But that was that moment, man. That theater, the slanted floor, the sticky floor. I had my first Eat More chocolate bar when I was there. Yeah. I had my first like pop. I never had pop before. I had my first pop, and like this is a core memory for me. And everything I do that's like this, I want to share with my kids. So we go to movies and we watch movies at home, and we try to have cinema as part of our life. So it's
no, I love that.
It's big. It's big for me. It's big for me.
Yeah, no, it is big for me. And like the living room is only really a small portion of what I have, like all my stuff. And I definitely don't have nearly as much stuff as you, but like my comics and like I have like 4 times as many movies in my bedroom, and yeah. I've always been big on movies, whether they're, these award-winning movies or whether they're just like B movies that just make me laugh, or it doesn't really matter. For me, it's all about an escape. I think there's too much there's some people, I guess, put too much emphasis on like the writing and whether it's like intelligent and all this stuff. And I like some of that stuff, but I also appreciate and sometimes maybe even like it more the stuff that's just it's against the grain kind of stuff. Like I'm big on Kevin Smith. He's one of my favorite directors. Of course, man. And as someone who likes kind of older school horror movies, have you seen Tusk or
absolutely
Yoga Hosers?
I saw them both.
Yeah. What'd you think?
So Tusk was really good because I like monsters, mm-hmm. and I like body horror, and Tusk was a really cool blend of turning the lead actor into a walrus. Spoilers.
Yeah, right.
There's a statute of limitations. The movie's fucking 10 years old. Like, relax already.
Tusk, I think, would be my favorite of the two. Yeah.
The I like it a lot. I like Kevin Smith for trying new shit. I'm also, unpopular opinion, a big fan of the Kevin Smith Masters of the Universe Netflix show.
Yeah.
That
I think that is an unpopular opinion.
It really is.
But like, whatever.
The thing that I always say is,
I didn't mind it.
No, see, here's the thing. First things first, this is what I like. Full stop. If you don't like it, cool.
Buddy, I'm a DC fan. You don't gotta explain yourself to me. I know.
Shit. I had a whole DC conversation with my wife last night, and we watched the Batman again.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, it's okay, but so are the Christopher Nolan ones. Like, they're good, but I won't rewatch them.
Okay.
And we always rewatch the Marvel ones, and I try to explain to her that the Marvel ones, to me, seem like a candy store. They're bright. They're big budget, and they're meant to make you go in the theater, and they're meant to be over the top and light on almost everything else. Where the DC movies are dark and they're uncomfortable and they're gritty, and they make you see what a superhero movie would be like if it was like you. Like I always say, could you imagine if all of a sudden you were downtown and somebody just walked past you in a costume, and that day he was being a vigilante? You put your phone out, like, you wouldn't know what to think. But like, that's what that is. This fucking guy just decided to put a bat suit on, and now he's Batman, and you're gonna accept that, and no one does. It's like no one accepts this. They're like, this fucker is mental. But in the Marvel universe, it's like, yeah, fucking Green Hulk just smashing buildings. I'm like, who's gonna pay for that shit? Who's got the insurance policy on this shit? But they don't talk about it like that in the Marvel movies. They don't bring that kind of realism in. So, but you know, to each your own. I just, I love what I love, and I've learned not to tear down the things that I love. I learned to stop rating things. Okay. People used to say, like, oh, out of 10.
Yeah, for sure.
Out of 10. No. My buddy and I, Tim, call it the Tim Chris pass fail.
All right.
Did you walk out of the theater with a smile on your face, and that $10 you spent on the ticket gave you everything you expected? Yes, pass.
I like
That's
that.
it.
That's cool.
There's not like pass but.
And I'm a big guy, like, out of 10. I'm totally that guy all the time, you know? But I actually really like that. Because, like, just because something's not... wouldn't be like whatever you would consider like a 9 or a 10, you know, doesn't mean it wasn't good. Like and that's me. I'm big on how did it make you feel? Like, okay, some parts, the way he said that was a little, his voice here is whatever, but like, how did you feel after you left the theater?
Yeah, out of 10 is subjective.
Yeah,
you know, because people are like, well, like the cinematography, and the underlying message is way more intelligent in this film, where this film is really just about spectacle. So the intelligent film is better. Clearly wrong, because sometimes you don't want that movie. You know, I like to say I want zombies and dragons in my movies. I don't love Breaking Bad. I don't love Wolf of Wall Street. I don't love shows or movies that could happen now. I don't like movies about tax fraud or husbands cheating on wives, or I don't want to watch a 2-hour show about something that's showing someone else's misery that could be my fucking neighbor. You know, I don't like that. When I want to get away from that. So I always say, give me zombies or dragons, because you know you're not going to see that down at the corner store.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm giving you my 2 hours for. You know, with that said, I do like thrillers, and I do like old Giallo films, you know, Bava films and Argento films, and I was watching Torso this morning, and that's a really gory, gruesome stalker movie. You know, girls are being stalked and killed, and they can't figure out who's doing it, and it's a little unsettling. But you could say, I guess, that's a little more on the real. That there are really people stalking girls and you know, murdering girls and stuff, and that's definitely real. But I think the beauty of the Giallo is that the horror is so over the top gross. You're like, oh, that can't be real.
Yeah. And
then it sucks you back, you know, and that's kind of how I can accept something that's a little too over the top, but still has a bit of fantasy, you know, in it. And that's, I don't know, I'm funny that way, man. That's how I watch my movies.
No, I tend to be honest, like most of the movies that I go to are generally, you know, out there, just things that, I don't know. I am a big zombie guy, big on superheroes. I think mostly what I go to the theater now is like superhero movies. Yeah, like absolutely. I wasn't trying to talk shit, like saying I'm a DC fan. I wasn't trying to talk shit about Marvel. I think they both bring something different to the table. I think there's room for both of them.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
The characters I like are in DC, and you know, I could see why they're not, like, for me, when it comes to those two, I generally feel that Marvel is doing a good job appealing to people who have no knowledge of these characters, and this is like for some younger people, their first introduction to these characters is through these movies, and it's like, you know, for others, it's like who have previous knowledge. I think that's more where DC caters to, and they take a little more risks.
Yep.
But that's you know, at the end of the day, that doesn't necessarily make you better or worse. I just think it's what they do differently.
Yeah.
And some people like it, some people don't. It's just what I prefer.
Look at the Spider-Man films. This is case in point. The Tobey films, the Andrew Garfield films, and the Tom Holland films all do what at the same time? They all tell you the same Uncle Ben, you know, die story. Not so much Tom Holland. That one for the first time really didn't actually go into the origin stuff. But Marvel does that. Marvel, and just so your listeners don't think I'm a fucking idiot, I know Toby and Andrew are fucking Sony, so relax. I know it's not Marvel, but they tell the same story because they want to assume you know nothing about the movie. Mm-hmm. And that's what they do. They want to cater to, hey, you know, Mom, can you watch the kids? Sure, I'll take them to a movie. Cool, that Spider-Man movie's playing. Yeah, I'll take them. They'll like that. And then Mom goes in or Grandma goes in and she's like, oh, I'm understanding. You know, Spider bites the kid. Kid gets powers. Now he's a hero. That is the demographic that I think they're going after. They want to make sure everybody will buy a ticket.
Yeah.
The movie cost $10 billion to make, so they better afford it somehow. You know, and I think that's smart business. DC takes much bigger risk because they're giving you a product that if you don't have some working knowledge of what's happened in Batman Year One, you might not really understand what's going on with Bruce Wayne in this movie because you know. And that's
why doesn't he have all these fancy things? And no, I get it. It's a very broken down Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
But I like that.
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
Yeah, like there was this chef, and I can't remember his name right now, but he caught a lot of heat in the culinary community because he was giving credit to Domino's Pizza for like what they do and like just making it so like he went there and he just like from start to finish he like made the pizza and he delivered it and he was just giving credit like it's not easy to really like simplify something like this and make a decent product. And I think somewhere along the lines that's kind of what Marvel is doing, and they've really like they have a formula, and I don't think people could really like it took them a bit to get the formula. They have a lot, and I mean they have a lot of misses and hits for me, but I think, you know, overall like all their monies are making movies or all their movies are making money.
Yeah,
you know, so you can't really.
And sorry to interrupt. But
no, it's okay.
Full stop. I know that food is also as subjective as cinema, but fuck that guy. Don't tell me your Domino's pizza is the best pizza you've tasted in the world.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit how much you put into quality and effort into creating a pizza from your order to my door in half an hour. It's impossible. I don't care. It's impossible. There's no way you can sit there and eat a pizza, Domino's pizza, and say, that is the best pizza I've ever tasted.
Way.
And my cousins live in Australia. And in Australia, Domino's is like the pizza. Like,
oh,
Domino's
really?
is that pizza.
Okay.
And every time they're like, we're getting pizza this weekend, it's Domino's. I'm like, why? Why? Are you hilarious? You can get anything, literally fucking any. I could give you cardboard with sauce on it, and that might be better than the Domino's.
Oh, you hate Domino's?
I fucking hate Domino's. No, I don't. Okay, here's the thing. I hate Domino's.
Okay.
I hate fast food pizza like that.
Okay.
Personally.
What was that? What's the best pizza that you've had? Is it like best pizza place? Like pizza chain, let's say.
Best pizza chain?
Yeah.
Toppers.
Never had it.
The place I used to go to is out of Oakville, and they've just got something. They've got the right bread to crust to sauce combination. That the way they season all of it, I think it's the best of the chain brands.
Okay. I'm not huge on Domino's, by the way. I'm not like, oh, you don't like Domino's? What do you think is better, Chris? No, I'm not big on Domino's. I was just curious what you would say.
I think I'll say this though. I would have Domino's before I had Little Caesars.
Okay.
I think if we're if Pillow Talk does not condone or endorse any of the comments said by Chris in this fucking episode, but if we're gonna go down the list, for me, I would say it'd be something like Toppers, Pizza Hut, because it's greasy as fuck.
That's what I was gonna say. That's my number one. That's
buddy. Yeah. Deep dish. It's like Chicago light. It's not like Chicago pizza, but it's kind of like Chicago.
And they
pizza.
do some weird shit. I had a poutine pizza from Pizza Hut one time.
Yo, I would fuck with that all day.
Buddy, it was really good actually.
Again, so okay, Toppers.
Yeah.
Pizza Hut, Pizza Nova.
Yeah.
And then the last one, because again, everything seen through the eyes of nostalgia is always a little different. 2-for-1 pizza. Everyone out there's going, this bitch. There's no fucking way.
Mm-hmm.
Hear me out. It's grade 10. You're in high school. You got an hour lunch and then a spare fourth period. Okay? So you got 2 hours off. So you walk down Cawthron to Lakeshore and you go into 2-for-1. You have no job. Maybe your dad gave you an allowance. And you walk into 2-for-1 pizza and you get 2 giant slices of pizza that's legit 4. Because it's too big, come in the middle, and it's 4. And a can of Coke for like $3. If that doesn't entice you, eat an entire bag of dicks. Fuck you. If that doesn't entice you, nothing will.
I have a very similar story with 2-for-1 because it was more middle school for me when we used to go to 2-for-1, like grade 7 and grade 8, and we had these Coke cards. Where it's like you buy something, you buy a Coke and you get a discount on something, or you get something for free, whatever. And 2-for-1 just always had like the best fucking deals. So you could just buy you buy the slice, you get like a free bottle of Coke.
Yeah.
And I would for some reason I would always get like extra sauce on my pizza. I'd get them to like scoop a thing when they heat it up. And so I have pretty fond memories of 2-for-1 as well.
Well, this kind of evolved into the SPC card. I'm not sure if you're old enough to know what that is, right?
Yeah, I do know what that is.
But SPC, you got it, when I was in high school, you got it for free. They gave you the card, and then you got the student price card discounts at the, Hot Topic or 7-Eleven or whatever it was. Now you got to buy the card. I think it's $20 to buy the card, and then you get the discounts at the stores. But that was the evolution of that. Like, you would just go to the places where you knew your SPC card would get you shit. Because none of us were working in grade 10. So you went to 2-for-1. You went to, you went to shop at the shops that would, oh, fuck, I'm going to date myself, man, but Backstage Pass. There was no Hot Topic back then. It was Backstage Pass. And you go in, it's like, buy a t-shirt, get another one for 10% off or something because you had an SPC card. And I lived in Rock Band t-shirts, man. That was my jam. I would go there and get 2 t-shirts on my SPC card anytime I had like birthday money or Christmas money or if I was going to a concert, my dad used to buy me a shirt of the band that I was going to a concert in, because I didn't know back then it was illegal to wear the shirt of the band to the concert. I didn't know that back then, but I know that now. I know that now you can't wear the shirt of the band to the band's show, but I used to love doing that, showing up with like my new gear. It was like on the shelf that morning.
Yeah.
And now I'm in the pit wearing that shirt. But that's...
I still feel like that's most... I have so many shirts and like 6 pairs of pants. Maybe not 6, maybe a couple, I don't know, but not a lot of pants, man. I have like 60 shirts, and they're either wrestling shirts, some sort of like plaid flannel type thing, or band shirts. Like, that's pretty much what I got,
That's my look.
Maybe a couple nerd shirts like with Batman
shirts, yeah. Well, this is my look. Black jeans, black shirt, black heart, black soul, black on black. That's my look. And I've got like these like Gap stretchy type jeans. I love these motherfuckers. So my wife bought me like 7 pairs of them. Yeah. And that's what I wear. And people, I know people think like, this motherfucker only wears the same pair of black jeans. Yeah. I do not. I have many of these Gap Flex fucking jeans. I'm 43 and I'm chubby. So I need a little bit of stretch in these jeans, but this is my go-to uniform. Cool shirt with some weird shit. I also like weird shit shirts. Like, I have Batman shirts, Spider-Man shirts, but I like wearing a shirt out that maybe the average Joe, even a seasoned nerd might not really know what that shirt is. I kind of that's some nerd clout though. I think in our little subculture, you kind of have levels of like nerd clout.
Yeah,
you know, and I think being able to go somewhere and have a shirt on, and someone be like, "Yo, I heard about that, but I know nothing about it."
Yeah,
this also gives me an opportunity to share my knowledge about that fucking thing
Totally.
because I'm a big.
I love those interactions based on like it happens a lot with like you said, like nerdy stuff, wrestling as well. Like I just on the buses and you always. It's funny. I have this Red Hood hat that I guess it's kind of similar to what you're talking about, but most people always assume that it's Batman, and so I get to like. It's a time for me to educate people, especially on here too. I feel like almost every episode I was like, "Who's Red Hood?"
It's a
I'm
teachable
like, this
moment.
is my time right now. I think people are probably getting tired of it, but
no, a parent will call it a teachable moment.
Yeah.
Because you don't listen. I'll tell you right now, if somebody walked up to me and was like, "Oh, that Ninja Turtle with the blue mask and the sword, Michelangelo," they're gonna catch a fucking eye jam. That is a moment to duck. Because I'm going to swing at you, or to correct them that it's Leonardo. See, so I'm all about someone saying something wrong like that and giving me a chance. Like, no, it's not actually what you think it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's and it means nothing.
Yeah,
okay? It means nothing. It holds no weight. It's no there's no currency for nerd level knowledge.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. But for me, it means it's the things that got me through my childhood.
Oh, buddy, when you get another person coming up, like we're gonna talk about collector's items, and it's sweet. But like anytime I have someone that like collects things, or that there's always the key things. They're probably my whole list that I always like. Hey, you should check this out, or did you see my Rorschach painting out there? Like there's always things that you're, I guess, more proud of than others. That's why I was like, oh, this would be a great. You sent me a lot of stuff, and it's like, this is a lot to work with. And I'm a big fan of like all this stuff. What do I choose? But
yeah, but no, this is good though because you and I are friends. We're friends peripherally. Like we haven't had a chance because of where we hang out and where we got to know each other to sit down and talk about this. But through what I call social interactions via Facebook.
Yeah,
you see like, oh shit. He's posting about this, or he has a picture about that. I didn't know he liked that kind of stuff. This might be an interesting conversation. And that's kind of how, we kind of connected. And I was excited about this because it would just give me a chance to get to know you better.
Yeah.
And get to share with you a bit more about the person that you might think I am versus the person that I am and see how closely aligned who you thought I was.
Well, I don't like to make. I'm so like I don't really like to make assumptions about people. I mean, there's only so many times people can assume things about you that are wrong. Where you're like, all right, well, maybe I should stop doing the same thing to other people. So I didn't really. Okay, so like when we first met, we were doing Muay Thai together.
Yep.
And I just happened to see. I think I just started the podcast. Maybe I might have been like 10 episodes in, or I don't know how many, but I wasn't too deep into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I always talk about nerd stuff on here, and I saw your Transformers tattoos. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
Autobots in the front, Decepticons in the back.
Yeah, amazing. And I was like, oh, this guy might like the podcast. And then you were a nice guy, and fucking here we are over a year later. We're doing this. So.
And this is a rare occurrence because I think I'm a nice guy. Like, but I'm also an asshole. And I feel like...
What is it, asshole, or just like an opinionated person? Because I always like to say, like, I've gotten assholes sometimes, and I'm like, really? Like, I try, like, I don't even want to say try, but, like, I just feel like my natural default is just to be nice to people, And it's so weird when people say that, but...
I would definitely say, like, people would tell me that I'm not the person that I describe myself as. The person I see is more reclusive. The person that I see is more angry. We talked when I came in. I'm open about all this stuff. I've spoken a lot on a lot of different podcasts about mental health, and I've been, I'm bipolar, so I can be your best friend right now and then crying 10 minutes from now or really angry and not know why. So I have an opinion of how I think people see me, and I like to say, like, I say I'm honest, but I'm also an asshole. That's just kind of what I say. Like, I'm not gonna, like, walk up to you in the grocery store while you're buying avocados and be like, yo, socks and sandals? Like, I'm not that kind of an asshole. But like if I see you in the street, and you're holding a sign and that sign says, life is life, and life begins at conception, and you must keep that baby even though it's going to cause you immense trauma. And then also when the baby is 7, you got to tell that baby why his daddy isn't here, because the guy who made him raped you, and then you gotta live with his fucking baby that you probably don't love because you never wanted it. But also Jesus is love. If you have that fucking sign on the street, you better fucking believe I'm gonna call you a fucking asshole. So it's like I'm not outwardly just gonna go and call someone out unless I feel I need to call someone out. And it's sometimes the line is blurred of where I think I need to call someone out and maybe where I shouldn't call someone out. Okay. But I'm big on shit like that. Like, we got, like, my wife always tells me, just be careful what you post, and don't, she's a teacher. We don't want to say anything that might come back and reflect poorly on her or whatever. And but, like, if I see some shit like this motherfucker in Florida is just passed a bill to make abortion illegal because a 50-year-old straight white Christian man has a delusion that he has any right to tell a woman what they should be allowed to do with their body. Yeah. That fucking drives me nuts, and I will post the shit about that stuff, and I don't give a fuck.
No, but I mean, at the end of the day, you don't really need laws to kind of... It's funny, we kind of looked at something earlier that was like talking about laws, and if we just agreed that everything that was laws should be laws, basically.
Sure. Yep.
And I mean, just because you're not on the side of the law doesn't mean you're not on the side of right. And doesn't mean that, like, I mean, you should be saying things, to people like that. And
I know that right is subjective also. Like, I'm a card carrying atheist. I have been since grade 6. I have a whole memory of how that moment happened that I don't need to tell you now. But the point of the matter is, I believe that organized religion perhaps is not the right way. Where someone who's faith-based doesn't see them the way I see them, and they fully believe that their religion and their laws and their rules and saying things that would go against women's rights, like whether or not an abortion is okay, or telling my queer child that they're lesser than anybody else because some fucking invisible man chilling in the clouds deems that she and her girlfriend should not be, that she should find a good man to have a family, or some shit like that. Mm-hmm. So I understand that what I feel is right in that sense might not be right to that person, and I know that that's where the friction starts, because they are
But what isn't right, I think, like here, like, I am not religious. I was raised Catholic, and I definitely don't identify as anybody who follows any religion. I don't really believe in God. Like, I said, we could definitely be living in a simulation. Like, I don't take anything off the table because I just don't know. But I, like, in my heart, I'm like, I don't believe there's a heaven. I don't believe a lot of this shit. And I think really what is, like, you can both exist and treat each other with respect and both believe the things. It's my thing is, like, pushing it on other people, like going out there and just being a super douchebag about
about how you handle yourself and your beliefs and like pushing it on other people. Like, hey man, like you believe what you want, and I'm not saying that doesn't help you. And like people, you know, when you go through addiction and stuff, a lot of the stuff is about like you're not in control, and you know, let like God is in control and you have to accept that and all this shit. And I was always like, that's some bullshit. Like, no, like I'm not doing that. Like if you, like I've always been very big on like somehow I just did it without actually having to, okay, when I was a teenager, I was drinking heavily and in high school I had a lot of problems with my foster dad. I was raised in foster homes. He like got me some help. So I did do, not necessarily AA, but I did counseling for alcohol addiction, just like one-on-one type stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
And so I guess that would kind of be, you know, similar, but there was no real like God pushed on me in that position. It was more of like, what makes me get there? Why do you do this? And just realizing what, I guess, for lack of a better term, I don't use this a lot, but like what my triggers were and why I was actually drinking and the...
Well, the moral compass... the moral compass, I believe, is not driven by religion. The moral compass is believed by, driven by morality and social norms, and I don't believe you need religion in your life to tell you not to murder.
No, but I think maybe even initially that's might have been what religion was, really, to keep people in line. It was like, how do we do it? Oh, there's this higher power that's going to punish you and all this kind of stuff. You know?
Course. Well, fear keeps the masses in line, and then you know you turn that into totalitarian regimes. You turn that into Mussolini and Hitler and people who think that their power can control the many. And then a lot of people will lean back and say, well, I'm doing God's work, and there's no proof of that. It's just this kind of this delusion that they are on a mission from, you know, from God. And I mean, this is getting way deeper than I thought it would, but I just think it's like I believe that everybody can coexist as long as the either party doesn't try to tell the other party that they're wrong. Because at the end of the day, I always say this, faith is not fact. Mm-hmm. Just because you want it to be so doesn't mean...
Well, by definition, it's not.
It's not fact.
Yeah.
It's not. Just because you want it to be so doesn't mean it is. And where I always say, you can't prove the existence of an afterlife, but you say, I know it. I know it. I read my scripture. I listen to the priest. I go to church every Sunday. I know there's an afterlife, which you do not. You do not know. You just want there to be. Mm-hmm. I don't know there isn't. I don't know there isn't. So I can't argue with you. I can't tell you you're wrong. Mm-hmm. But what I can say is, until you can prove there is, and I can prove there isn't, we are on equal ground here.
Right. Totally. I agree.
And at the end of the day, I'm not trying to tell you that I'm right and you're wrong. So don't do the same for me. But I feel, you know, I don't want to rub anybody the wrong way, but I feel that a lot of organized religion, they need to be validated by the masses believing what they believe, rather than just being content with them believing in what they believe and going to bed at night thinking, I feel good about myself. A lot of what that is, a lot of those people protesting abortions on the signs, a lot of the Jehovah Witness knocking on your door, I just believe they don't truly feel 100% validated unless they know that other people also do. But not just the people in their circle, like new people have to. And I'm like, hey, listen, if you believe what you believe so strongly, it does not matter what other people think of you, you know?
Yeah.
And that goes right back to Marvel versus DC. It doesn't matter what you like better. If you like one better, then that's cool. That's what you like better.
Right.
And that's all that matters. Right. You know?
Yeah.
There you go. There's my TED Talk for the fucking afternoon.
I dig it, man. No, I agree with a lot of the stuff. I used to work with this this Jewish guy, Brad, and he's like very, very religious. And so I was working for Moxie's, and I was working at a different location, and they were reopening. So the Square One location used to be at like the south side of the mall, and now it's at the north side when they like, I don't know, added a bunch of stuff. And so they made it super nice, and there was this big grand opening. And so I was training like all the new employees, you know, how to do things. Like they took a couple people from each store and they just brought them there to train everybody.
Yeah.
And that's how me and Brad started working together. And I'm like, if anything, I lean like
I'm a very big believer in like aliens, you know, and so like people know me. I'm very outspoken, and I've always said like I'm opinionated, not judgmental, because I just don't really care.
Yeah.
You know, like live your life, whatever according to you. You know,
Sure.
I'm not you, so people just thought we were gonna bump heads, and I remember like one of the first. I think it was maybe the second shift. We actually were in the back, and like something happened, and it sparked a conversation, and then Brad started talking about Jesus, and then I started talking about aliens, and everyone was like, it seemed, very much so like that. Like, it's gonna happen. Like, something's gonna happen.
It's going down.
But we went on for like 3 hours, bro. Like, obviously not solid 3 hours because we were training and doing things in between, but like, we
continuous flow of conversation.
Yeah, and like, I just love the guy. Like, he's exactly what I wish more religious people were like Jesus. You know what I mean? Like, the person that they believe in, instead of being what a Christian is like, be what Christ is like. But you know what I mean?
Many Christians follow the rule of the Bible written by other men.
Well, he's also Jewish, so I don't know if that's the right. I should have said that. But
but in the same context, is a lot of the people follow the scriptures that were written, and the scriptures that were written by men who may or may not have experienced what Jesus as a prophet was truly like at the time when he existed. So you're always going to get this kind of version. Like even in Catholicism, you've got Anglican who doesn't believe in the Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you motherfuckers are both Catholic.
Get it together.
Like how can you have this guaranteed religion, firm rules and firm understanding, when within the religion you are arguing with each other? There's this wonderful book called Letter to a Christian Nation, and it's like 30 pages, and all it is a letter that oh gosh, we gotta like put a link up or something after, because I forget the author's name now. It's killing me, but Sam Harris, might be Sam Harris, and he wrote a letter to the current local archbishop at the time, and in that letter, I'm paraphrasing, I apologize profusely. In that letter, he mentions 3 different cardinals at 3 different times in the last 15 years who redefined what purgatory is. And he said, how? How can 3 men at 3 different times who were elected into their position somehow have the power and or direct line to God, who then changed his mind 3 times of what purgatory is? Yeah. You make the rules to suit your needs. And that is not what this is about. Having faith and believing in something else, believing in someone watching over you, whether he's omnipresent, whether he's omnipotent, whether he's there and can't intervene, or he can but won't. Whatever you believe, you shouldn't be allowed to change the game every 10 to 15 years to suit your needs. You shouldn't be allowed to kind of like, it's like playing Scrabble but hiding some letters in your pocket before the game starts. Yeah. I don't think it's. I'm not against anyone believing, but I'm against you. I'm against you trying to make this fairy tale work in every situation that it might not, because you want it to so badly.
What about this year? Yep. And this is coming out after Doctor Strange, so I guess that's not going to be able to be on the list. But what are you most looking forward to? Whether it's like a movie or a TV show or like maybe a concert. Now that things are you trying to avoid concerts right now still?
So I'm still dealing with what I'm calling is COVID trauma, because I was really, really sick, and I'm still kind of getting my head around how to move forward on a lot of things. And I let my daughter go to her first Comic-Con, like by herself with her friends. That
was last month.
That was last month.
Yeah.
She's also going to see Mother. I bought her tickets like a while back.
Nice.
And they're coming, I think, in May. And I know I don't love the idea, but I'm also still trying to move forward a little bit within my comfort zone. I've taken all of my kids to see Ghost, except for my youngest, and she's missed 2 tours because they're not touring Canada. So I'm very, very excited. I hope that when the European tour is over, I'm hoping they come back to North America in the winter, and I can show my youngest kind of this album cycle. I've seen Tool like 13 times, and I'll always see them when they're in town. They're my favorite band of all time.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'd love to go and take them to see them. Movies or TV shows. Definitely Doctor Strange for sure. I'm excited. Anytime Marvel can just extend their storyline. I know you mentioned that you got rid of Disney Plus.
No.
Oh no,
you're back. Disney Plus for Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Yes, dude. Yes.
Of course. And this is like I love like how I love these bite-sized Marvel bits, and I love how they're taking someone like Loki, who's popular but kind of just glossed over in the MCU, and gave him a show. Full stop. Final episode of Loki, the Kang monologue, maybe one of the best monologues I've ever heard in my entire life. Like that was just so beautifully written.
You know what I really like too, like on the Marvel side, and I watched it since I got Disney Plus again, MODOK. Did you ever see that, the animated one?
Patton Oswalt is
man,
MODOK is
so
good. It's so funny. But this is the thing. This is where like they can take properties like MODOK or what they did with Deadpool and just kind of R-rating something and understand that you're not going to get everybody watching it because you can't. But you're feeding a niche audience, which is the adult. You and I, we want something a bit more mature, a bit more edgy or raunchy or something. And I love that they're taking those chances because when the mouse bought Marvel.
That's exact. Yeah.
You never knew what you're gonna.
Little worried, or like, oh, how's the next Deadpool gonna be?
Yeah.
I'm still, but I think that's with the things that are proven to be working. I think they're gonna, if Disney, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No.
If Disney bought it before Fox had come out with Deadpool, I don't think we would have gotten this Ryan Reynolds version of Deadpool that we currently have. But I don't think they're gonna toss it away because they see that it's popular and it works.
And you can see it now because they've also now been putting programs on like American Horror Story is on their Stars section of their network, and you're getting programs through the Disney Plus app that are not Disney at all.
Yeah.
And I think this is just smart business. I think they need to cater to everyone, and I hear this a lot, and this is classic pass the buck behavior. Well, what am I supposed to do if my child turns on Disney Plus and stumbles across American Horror Story and there's a guy in a latex BDSM suit murdering someone? What am I supposed to do? First off, fucking parent. Second, put a child lock on. Set a profile where only they can get in, and on that profile, that shit isn't available. So don't try to like, I don't want that on my Disney Plus because I'm too scared to or not scared. I'm too lazy to parent. This I hear a lot of. Just get rid of it. Don't put it on the platform. No, fuck no. Put it on the platform, and you put parental locks on it.
Yeah, I mean, how else are you supposed to compete with like other huge brands like Netflix and Crave and Prime or whatever else there is? There's so many now, and like I have a lot. We even have like a documentary Curiosity Stream. It's only like $40 a year, man. And it's just loaded with documentaries. So we got like 5 or 6 right now that, we've paid for, and I don't know.
Documentaries will kill me, man. I like, no, seriously, like, for real. I like learning about anything. Like, I will watch a documentary about Abercrombie and Fitch.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'll watch the Von Dutch one.
Yeah,
and then I'll watch, like, Hip Hop Evolution, all 4 seasons. And it's like, I love learning about shit that I didn't know about. I think life is too short to just go around thinking that all you know is what you know, and that's all there is.
Yeah.
It's too short for that. You need to fill your head with stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like I go through phases. Like, there was a month where I just watched so many just rock climbing documentaries, people disappearing on Everest, and
dude,
just
that one, I fucking love that documentary. That guy climbed all the mountains, 7 mountains in 7 days.
I saw that one too. Yeah, that was it.
I love. But here's the thing: these are people, real people. Like, I don't want to get existential on you, but there are people living on this earth, breathing our air, right?
Yeah.
Maybe your neighbor, who climbed a fucking mountain.
Right.
Like, we drove down to 7-Eleven for taquitos on a Wednesday night and thought that was a successful adventure. And this motherfucker's on a mountain. Like, there are people out there doing shit that I could never do, or I'd be too scared to do. And we live in this world. And then there's a documentary where, okay, guess what? You don't gotta do it. We're gonna film it. We're now gonna send a fucking film crew up there with this maniac and film him so you can experience that and not have to do it yourself. Why would you not want to see that?
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
It's inspiring, man.
It's
like,
totally
a lot of that
inspiring.
shit fucking really inspires me. Just seeing, it's like, I really don't know why someone would want to free climb a giant 2,000, 3,000 foot wall without any, if you...
harness or nothing.
Nothing. Just... Oh my God. And it's like the whole time, like, I'm kind of afraid of heights, but I'm also the kind of guy that's like, fuck you, fear. Like, I've been bungee jumping before. Like, I'm really into roller coasters. Like, I never really let it control me.
Oh.
But believe me, when I went bungee jumping, like, I was like on the bridge, legitimately like inching my way, both hands on the same rail. Like, oh my God. Like, the whole bridge was wood and shit. And I was like, I'm doing this. I went on a trip to BC and it was like the second highest in North America, like, place to bungee jump. And fucking, so like, I booked it way ahead of time and it was like, all right, I'm paying for it. I'm going to make sure I do it. Like, I'm not a guy who likes to waste money. Yeah. It's not cheap necessarily, So I was like, for sure I'm doing this. And I made it happen. But like, it was the most terrifying part was just being on the bridge. But
this shit is not for me.
Yeah.
I will cheer you on as you partake in this madness. But if you were to say to somebody, I don't know what bungee jumping is because I come from another planet. Can you explain it to me? And then your explanation happens to be, we're gonna attach a rubber band to your leg. And then we're going to count to 3, but on 2, push you the fuck off a ledge. Now, you're going to go all the way down to a point where you think you are about to die. But you'll bounce right back up, and when you think it's over, you're going to do it again. And again, and again, and again. That's the explanation of bungee jumping. Who in the fuck would do that based on that explanation? I would never in a million years believe that anybody would want to do that. But there are some thrill seekers out there who are doing the craziest shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. Like I say this all the time. Like there are humans on this planet doing things like people watch the rocket go to the space station, and you sit there and I'm like, hey, kids, come on, let's watch the rocket. It's going to dock with the space station, and they're like, oh, well, okay, whatever. I'm like, some bodies, lots of bodies, tons of bodies, built a machine that took 4 people into the fucking space without dying.
Yeah.
Then that machine is going to talk to another machine that other somebody's built. And that machine is going to suck in the machine, link them, and then these people are going to walk from this machine to this machine and then fucking live there in space and do science and shit for like 6 months. How the fuck are you not mind blown by that shit?
Yeah.
Like we're not talking about like someone built like a dog house for your dog, which is cute and it's really hard because I'm not a carpenter. They put people into space. Fuck me. There are people in space right now.
Yeah,
that shit blows my mind. It totally blows my mind that the human will to achieve that level of greatness, to put a fucking rover on Mars that sends back real-time photographs. You can look at Mars now. You can look at Mars. I gotta say it again. You can look at Mars if you want to. Mars! That's 4 times I've said Mars. 5.
Mars, man.
It just blows my mind that, there are people who made this thing, and you watch them like testing how they're gonna land the rover on Mars so that a $40 billion piece of RC remote control car doesn't break. And they do it. They spend 6 years flying this thing through space to land on a planet to send back photographs. So one day we might live there. Just saying that out loud gives me goosebumps, man.
It's just how aren't you interested in that even a little bit?
Right?
You know? Like,
right?
What do you mean?
And our biggest thing right now is that, oh my gosh, Doctor Strange and Wanda in the same movie. That's not special at all. Someone's on Mars right now. Fuck me. Also, Wanda and Strange in the same movie is pretty cool.
I wasn't big on WandaVision though. I wasn't big on that.
I liked how charming it was, but I loved how much they showed us how powerful she could be. Because I've been saying this since day one. Wanda is the most powerful character in the MCU, and now that Thanos has done what Thanos does, right? And this is like anything. This is like when you have a world-ending event like the blip. What's bigger than the blip?
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be Celestials. What's bigger than Celestials? Oh, magic. And that's why you're seeing Moon Knight. That's why you're seeing Kang. That's why you're going to get Fantastic Four. That's why you're getting these characters who can deal with someone like a Celestial. Someone who's bigger than a god. You can't have, what's Punisher going to do?
Yeah.
You know, I love Punisher.
I do too, yeah.
We can do the top 5 whenever you want to. He's not in there, but like some of my top 5s, they're not equipped to deal with anybody but like mid-level thugs.
Yeah. You
know,
totally.
and that's why when people think that magic won't work, Doctor Strange and Sorcerer Supreme and Wanda and Moon Knight, that this is really left field stuff. Like, is this gonna work? Are people gonna watch it? People need Moon Knight in a 6-episode miniseries to help them explain why they're going to see him in a movie 3 years from now fighting a galactic force that brute strength can't do anything against. You need more than that. Mm-hmm. And that's what's bigger than Thanos. They need to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm excited about magic in the MCU. And that's why I liked WandaVision. I liked Agatha. I liked the fact that it was witches and chaos magic and sorcery and things that can't be explained in this world. Things that can't be stopped by Cap's shield or Thor's hammer or Iron Man's repulsor blast. You can't stop that. He'll turn your repulsor blast into butterflies. Like, magic trumps everything. And
it was very necessary. It was a necessary show.
Yeah.
So, and that's also, I think, what is good for, or what Marvel is doing really well, and I'm hoping that DC kind of is like just the TV and the movies, with it being kind of one universe. Marvel has done, DC did a lot. I don't know exactly where they're at right now. They kind of just don't really have anyone leading them, and that's what they need. They need Kevin Feige, you know what I mean? They don't have that.
Let me give you maybe an unpopular opinion real quickly. I was saying this last night at the end of Batman. I don't know that I want that.
A shared universe in DC?
Mm-hmm. Because when I read my comics, they all come in 6-issue runs, right?
A lot of them, yeah.
And you might get a new artist team and a new writer every 6 months. Some might go the whole year, but essentially what you're getting is kind of refresh every 6 months. So when you want to jump into a new Batman comic, you could potentially, like when Hush finished, after Hush was over and the big reveal happened, the next arc started. And you didn't necessarily need to read Hush to grab that next arc. You could have just kind of found Batman at that next arc. And I think I think that they're better served doing these self-contained films like The Joker or like The Batman. This might turn into a sequel or a trilogy because of its success. Who knows? But
I hope The Joker doesn't, though. To be honest, I really hope it doesn't.
It shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that feels to me when I would go and get comics as a kid, and then I would read through them, and it's like, oh no, death in the family. Jason Todd is dead. They killed fucking Robin. Oh my god. And then like 6 months go by, it's like, oh, there's a new masked vigilante in Bloodhaven. Who could it be? And then they then all of a sudden he's fucking, the Red Hood. And then, well, where's Dick Grayson? Well, now Dick Grayson's fucking Nightwing. And you didn't even have to know about the old shit. Now he's Nightwing. And I like how contained the comic books feel. And I kind of like DC as these little bite-sized stories, a little adventure that might not need a new movie after it. I don't know.
I totally agree, but I especially now, I think they could do both. Even Marvel, like, after No Way Home, I was like, fuck, man, I kind of want another Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
Oh, Amazing Spider-Man.
Like, I kind of want that. And I'm like, why can't they? Why can't they have Tom Holland? Like, they can now. Well, and I think when The Flash comes out, DC will kind of that door will be open for DC. Like, Doctor Strange is just about to bust it wide. Well, this came out after, so Doctor Strange just busted the wide open. But no, but for real, like, I imagine there's going to be a lot of people that in Doctor Strange that people are overlooking. Things that are going to, like, we're obviously, the Hugh Jackman and the X-Men and Deadpool and whatever, but I think there's going to be, I don't know what, because obviously that would, not really be what I'm talking about, but I think there's going to be a lot of things, and then it's going to, people are just going to want to revisit stuff. Well, it's like, why can't we?
But that's it. No Way Home gave us, my wife loves Amazing Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Her favorite is the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. She loves Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man and Peter Parker. She loves Gwen Stacy. She loves all of that. That scene when I don't want to spoil it. That scene when Andrew did what he did in No Way Home.
Yes.
And that kind of like that redeemed his movie.
Somewhat emotional.
Very emotional. That was, she cried. My wife cried so hard because that to her that was like what she wanted him to do with Gwen in his film. Mm-hmm. And what the multiverse is doing is, like you said, for Marvel, now you can have any Sony property live freely as Sony properties, but part of the MCU, independently. Make another Venom movie if you want to. But we know there's a multiverse. It's still part of the MCU proper, I guess, right? And for DC, this is unfortunate. But with what's going on with Ezra Miller and with what what they've been doing kind of to their career, with the multiverse, they could phase him out and bring in any other Flash to be part of the current Gal Gadot, JLA, world if they want to. Mm-hmm. Jason Momoa, Aquaman. They can just bring a new Flash in and go, multiverse. Our Ezra Miller version is trapped in another multiverse. And this is it's sad at what's happened, but from a I guess.
Well, it's like, okay, man, like, I don't know all the details about all the stupid shit he does, but it's like, how many times, buddy? Like,
it's 3 alone.
How many times? Like, just to learn from shit. You're like, well, at some point, even though I would never want them to really do that, they're opening the door for that possibility where it won't be looked at as, like, stupid. Like, they're bringing Keaton back, and I hope they're kind of going to go, like, a Batman Beyond route. To be honest, I'd love to get a live-action Batman Beyond. That would be amazing.
I know. And this is, I also think that a lot of these actors, like Keaton, for example, they did something. It was part of their world. They were Batman, but they aren't Batman. Like, they've moved on and done other films, other projects. But now it's kind of like, it's enticing almost to kind of like come back and I think if you ask Keaton, like I know him, If you asked Keaton 15 years ago to come back and do Batman, I would bet you a crisp high five he would have said no.
Yeah.
Fast forward 15 years, multiverse it up, see what's happening. Now approach him and go, dude, we want you to reprise the role of Batman, and look how cool it's going to be. And he was all in when they asked him. I think now these people, like, what's next? Like, are we gonna, like, you could conceivably have every Schumacher version of the villain pop up if you wanted to. You could have anybody who's ever done anything in their respective superhero worlds now just pop up through a wormhole in the multiverse.
Yeah.
This is like nerdgasm shit, man.
Yeah.
Like, nothing is cooler to me than being able to say that Tim Burton thing that was amazing in 91, 92, whenever that film came out. Now it's amazing again. And now we can get, like, imagine taking your son or daughter or nephew to see this new film, and Michael Keaton shows up as Bruce Wayne, and they're like, whoa, his name's Bruce, but he's not the Robert Pattinson Bruce, he's not Ben Affleck Bruce. I'm like, no, let's go watch this movie. He's this Bruce. And then you get, like, this whole Tim Burton dreamscape version of Batman, and then from that you go, oh yeah, you like that shit? Well, how about Nightmare Before Christmas? And how about Beetlejuice? And then you fucking just open those doors to that same kind of that texture, that Tim Burton texture. You like that, you're sure to like this, and the circle is complete. You know, you get Beetlejuice out of Michael Keaton, and you get Batman out of Michael Keaton. You can share that with somebody who doesn't know that it's the same actor. Or this is, again,
Beetlejuice was one of those movies for me. Sorry to interrupt,
go.
Like, it was probably the most. I think, you go to video stores back in the day, and it was like, oh, rent 3 movies for 3 days and shit. I was literally Beetlejuice every week. And I own it now, but like back in those days, I watched it probably like 200 times in my life. It's just so good, man.
Buddy, people though, I wish we had more time, because people don't even understand. People they do not understand Friday night at a Blockbuster with Dad. They do not understand rent 2, get one free. They do not understand going into the horror section and picking a movie exclusively based on the cover art of the box.
Totally. Yeah.
And you didn't know. There was no, I'm going to read a review first and then rent it back then. We're talking late 80s, early 90s, where you walked in and you were like, yo, that's a, like that monster is fucking, what's Chud? Holy, what's a Chud? Grabbing that one. And then you got like Slumber Party Massacre. You're like 15 years old thinking Slumber Party. Negligee. Yeah, I'm going to see like maybe half naked girls. I'll grab that one too. And it's a massacre. Like, that's how you picked movies back then. You were sold on the cover, and sometimes it was a winner. Sometimes you got, fucking Return of the Living Dead that you rented every goddamn Friday because it's that good of a movie.
So good.
And sometimes you got, fucking Garbage Pail Kids, which at the time was fantastic, but does not hold up today, unfortunately. Sorry, anybody out there who actually want to go check out the Garbage Pail Kids movie. It does not hold up today the way it did. But that was the fun of it.
Yeah,
that was the fun of kind of
music too, man. Where you go to a record store and you just, sometimes they just have the listening post with like 3 albums and be like, oh, this cover looks cool, and you just listen to like freaking multiple tracks just standing in this
listening posts.
Leave with a record you didn't even know existed before you walked in the door.
They would unwrap the plastic of a CD and put it in that listening post at HMV for you. Like they would open a product so you could listen to it first. This is the craziest shit that I don't. Again, my daughter, my oldest daughter is the most like me when it comes to like pop culture things, and she wants to look for record stores, and she wants to have that experience of going to a record store, and it's nostalgic and it's retro, but I know every generation thinks that what they experienced was the best. I know that when your dad gives
for the most part, I think
I think that's I will say this, and anybody can argue with me all you want to. We'll fight on the streets, bare knuckles. I think the 80s gave pop culture something no other generation ever gave pop culture. I think the 80s as a whole gave us everything from fucking Gremlins to Breakfast at Tiffany's. And there was just wonderful storytelling, wonderful writing, wonderful acting, unique stories. Like you could go from Ferris Bueller to Star Wars to Harry and the Hendersons to Terminator, and every experience was so unique. And they were making this product that they weren't afraid of making something unique. They weren't worried about following the Marvel formula because those are the movies that work. So let's make our movie like that. They were making movies and telling stories they wanted to tell, and that's important to me. Like I told you earlier, I say finished writing a book, but I feel like I'm never finished. I've been spending the last 5 years writing a book. It's done technically. I don't know that it is. And it's just an opportunity to tell what I think is a really scary story and not worry about if it's following some kind of cookie cutter of what, how stories should be told. I don't care about that. I want to tell you the story. And I feel that sensibility, and I'm not trying to humble brag.
It's fine. Anyway, I don't mind.
I think that sensibility was given to me by the 80s. I think the directors making the films that were made, I think going to the cinema and having that experience, going to a blockbuster, I think all these things, all of these people just saying, no, we're doing it this way because that's what we think is fucking cool. The rule of cool, man. If you think it's fucking cool, it's cool.
The rule of cool.
It's true. And I think this is what has kind of defined the person I am, is I don't care what's on trend. I care about what I think will entertain. I care about what I think will make people think and talk and ask questions. And I like to show people, hey, check this movie out, or read this book, or watch this documentary. I think you'll enjoy it, and it'll make you a smarter person when you walk away from it. And I think that is something that, tragically, a lot of current cinema, current movies, current things that are going on.
I just think art in general.
It's true. Like I joke with my wife loves top 40, like anything, right? And like she'll play a song, and I'll run into the room and I'll sing a different song over that song. I go, see? It's the same melody structure. It's the same chord structure. It's the same chord progression. And I don't know that you could say that about stuff that came before. There's a wonderful movie called That Thing You Do.
Yeah.
And the Wonders. And I remember when they spelled it O-N-E, and everyone called them the O-Neaters. And they changed their name to Wonder, the way it's spelled. Mm-hmm. And they took off, and That Thing You Do was a big hit, and then they went away. No one cared anymore. And I think this is what's happening now. I think people are getting this kind of like summertime jam.
Yeah.
What's the newest, Dua Lipa thing that came out, or what's the newest, track that's hip hop with Rihanna in it, because that's real popular. Putting Rihanna in something, and it's hot for the summer, and then it goes away. And I want to press play on track 1, Siamese Dream, and listen to that record all the way through the end and say, that right there was an experience. I didn't skip tracks. I went from 1 to 13, and I got a full expression of what the Pumpkins were trying to give me. Billy Corgan was telling a story, and I heard it. Yeah. And that's what I find myself going back to. I was listening to NoFX, Punk and Drublick on the way here.
Buddy, that was like my original email. Punk and Drublick 666. My very first
at hotmail.com for sure, right?
Yeah.
Or AOL.com, whatever the fuck it was. But that's this. I know I sound like an old dude. I must sound super old. But I'm going back to the things that were evoking emotions before that aren't evoking emotions now. And it's very hard for me to find new, even like cinema. You got to see this new horror movie that came out, and I'm watching. I'm like, I mean, it's not bad, but I don't love it.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I'm rewatching things that were made 30 years ago because in my nostalgia covered eyes is just a better product, and I'd rather be watching Rosemary's Baby for the 900th time than some watered down big budget horror movie that they're trying to kind of just give you the stereotypical tropes of what they think people will be able to digest. And you know it because you watch a movie from the 80s and you say to yourself, fuck me, they would never be allowed to do that now. And if you can say that, then that's the film you should be watching.
Yeah.
The film you should be watching is the thing they couldn't do today. And that's my humble opinion. And I know kids born, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, will look at something like Power Rangers and be like, yo, Power Rangers are the fucking Ninja Turtles of my generation.
Yeah.
And after I pick them up off the floor from knocking them down there, I'll say, no, they're not. They're just not. And that's how I feel. I feel like what's coming out in the last 10, 15 years, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm dying to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot tell me that anything right now has the same clout as if I say to you, and I can say this to anybody and they'll know it, I guarantee you, He-Man, Transformers, Ninja Turtles, Gem and the Holograms, Gremlins, Ghostbusters, Terminator. You say those 7 things and everybody knows what I'm talking about. You say fucking Paw Patrol. Only people know Paw Patrol are people who have kids that are like 3 to 6 and they watch Paw Patrol. I don't think the product that comes out now is going to be there in 30 years. The way things from the 80s are still relevant like today. That I know that's a curmudgeon-y type of response, but I do feel like what we were given, we're not given that anymore.
Okay, so I definitely agree with like so much of that, and I just want to start off by saying I think all art in general just isn't as good. It's being done mostly now for business. I think obviously like the best artists are the ones that are on the journey and are just kind of going through it and learning from everything they do, and they get better, and that's like where the real art is, just kind of doing what you do and not paying attention to anything, and but like a lot of it is just trying to, and sometimes like almost identically, like just the amount of remakes or cover songs or the taking samples from older songs, like I don't think that any Rihanna song is going to be sampled in 30 years. I don't think, I mean? I don't think they're going to be rebooting fucking, like you said, Paw Patrol or any of these other things. Like, they're just not.
Ben 10.
There's
Ben
no
10's
substance because they're created just for money, and they're just trying to really emulate what, even the era that you said, and from before, all these original thoughts. It's like there's very few original thoughts in any art. I just think, and obviously it's as time goes on, there's more and more. So I guess you could argue it would be a little harder, but I just think the only thing any artist could really bring to the table to ever be original is themselves. That's it. It's literally the only thing. So if you're not bringing that, like, what are you doing? You gotta, like, when I first started doing stand-up, I did my first show, and then I think I talked about this on another episode, but it doesn't matter. And after I did the very first, like my first time ever performing for a crowd, like I got off and someone was like, "Hey man, next Bill Burr." And I was like, I love Bill Burr, and I was like, it kind of got to my head a little bit. Like, I wasn't like, oh, I'm great like Bill Burr, but I was like, that's how I'm going to write. I'm going to be like that kind of comedian. And it's like, when I look back on it, like I've been doing this close to like 4 years with COVID breaks obviously in between. You know what I mean? A good 2 years of just almost not performing at all. Yeah. But just through more stage time and just realized like that's not actually the kind of comedian I am. Just when after I stopped trying to write like Bill Burr or whatever, I kind of just fell naturally into this more like silly role and doing wacky things and bringing food, going into the crowd and just like doing just like silly things. I was more on the silly side, and that's not at all how I would describe Bill Burr at all.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
so you just really
any artist just needs to go through the motions and just don't be afraid to start at the bottom or wherever you consider the bottom is. Like, it's okay. Like, you got to start somewhere, and I think if you actually want to create something memorable, it's the only way to do it. You can't try to be somebody else. You have obviously take your inspirations,
yep,
you know, and things that you like to kind of create your own thing, but don't try to be anything else directly, or else it's just not gonna stand the test of time.
No,
and that's why none of this shit is really gonna
yeah.
Well, I don't want to say none of it, but a lot of it is just not gonna make it. No one's gonna be talking about it in 20 years.
No,
you know?
and I'll kind of I'll be a bit of a hypocrite just for a second, and there is I'm a fan of remakes, and there is I'm
not against it.
No, either am I.
I just think there's too many.
Fair enough, but I love the new Halloween movies. I love them.
And the Rob Zombies?
No, well, yes, but I love the Joseph Gordon-Green.
The ones that they brought back
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes.
Okay, so I love those movies. I love them, and that's, in my opinion, again, for the record, everybody, when you talk about art, it's subjective. It's 100%. All about I should always say my opinion before anything, because it's always my opinion. But it's like they've taken an IP that people know that really, after the third one of that film, was shit, and they've taken it, amped it up, not just made it more gory, but made it smarter, made it more terrifying. And I love what they've done with this IP. I think these 3 films will stand the test of time as watch Halloween 1, 2, and 3, and then watch these new trilogy, and you'll have a good experience. And that's taking an old IP. I'm okay with that if you're giving us something that truly is your version, like you said, being you 100% of the time, giving us you, not a carbon copy of what you think someone laughed at before, not giving a delivery because you know that Steve Martin or Richard Pryor gave a delivery that way, and maybe that'll land when you do your set. Oh, I'll try that delivery, because it'll show that you're delivering it in a way you're trying to do a redo of something that someone else at one point in time thought was funny.
Yeah.
But with these films, I feel like the whole team at Blumhouse and what they're doing over there, they're making something truly the way they would have made it if it was them instead of Carpenter in 1979.
That Blumhouse company, they got a lot of good horror movies.
Buddy,
dude. They got a lot.
They are like they're what's hot for the longest time right now. They do a lot of good things because I think they respect the material and they respect what they're trying to put out. They respect the product, and they're not trying to just do a cash grab. This is how I feel about this. I know this is very split right down the middle about how people feel about things like this. But I feel like with anything, you just need to make sure that when you go here, this is what I'm presenting to you, music, movie, comedy, that it is, for better or worse, you.
Yeah.
It is what you would put out there as a representation of who you are as a person, who you are as an artist. And for better or for worse, it's out there. But I assure you, it will be way better than if you just tried to take something that someone did well already and just kind of make a variation of it, because it'll show that it's not you. That's what I think. Anyway, yeah. When it comes to art, I'm very opinionated about that kind of stuff.
All right, man. You know what, dude? I think we see eye to eye on a lot of the stuff. And you mentioned Blumhouse, and I was like, man, there's so much. I think the last one I watched was Fantasy Island. Did you see that one? Oh my god! Like, it's just these are I don't know. Like, it seemed pretty original to me. Fantasy Island, is that a reboot though?
So Fantasy Island. So there was a show called Fantasy Island back in the 80s.
Okay.
Where it's very similar. You would like go to the island and like, you know, your fantasies would come true type of thing. This one, the twist on this was you would go and I guess your fantasy would come true, but there would be a yin and yang, a consequence to the fantasy is. So it's like they tried to show you that, you know, oh, you want to be a millionaire? Well, it's going to cost you something to get that thing. I don't know personally that it landed with me. I didn't think it was cast very well. But I like the attempt to make a film that was kind of highlighting. There's always a cost to something, you know, whether it be your pride or whether it be money or whether it be a friendship. Every time you want to get something, there will be a cost to pay for that thing that you want, and what are you willing to pay to get that thing, you know? And it's an intriguing thought, is how far would you go, you know, how far. I think about this a lot, where like athletes who go around and play and they're on the road, they don't see their families a whole lot, but their families at home living a lavish lifestyle, you know, never wanting for anything. But you're sacrificing having a mom or dad at home with you all the time because they're out giving you this lifestyle you have. So at what point does the person staying at home, whether it be the husband or the wife, when do they say, yeah, I love all this stuff, but I don't have a spouse anymore?
Yeah.
Because they're out doing what they do to give me this stuff. And that's a real question you ask. You know, you ask right now, you know, the salesman who goes on the road for a company and is never at home 6 months of the year. He's feeding his family, but he's not feeding their hearts because dad isn't around, for example. Maybe they're accepting that. Maybe that's okay because the life they want is a life they're getting, and the sacrifice is dad isn't around. Everything you want comes with a it's a trade. Has to be.
And I mean, what's worth it is gonna change person to person.
Yeah,
so it's like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, even your stand up, like you work all day, and then you come home and you have dinner with your girlfriend, you pet your dog, and it's like, oh, I gotta go, I gotta get to Toronto. So you get downtown, you're on at 9, but you're there at 6, and you're kind of warming up and you're talking to your friends, and then you go on at 9, and then after you're set, you have a drink, and you're home at midnight. So you saw your girlfriend for 45 minutes that day, and then the next day rolls around, you got another set. Oh, I just got booked a yuck. I got booked a yuck. So I got to go there now. So you come home, have dinner, and you take off again. And you know she might support you and say, "Yeah, this is wonderful. This is great. You're doing what you love." But how many times do you get to do that where she only sees you 45 minutes a day before she says, "I'm not in a relationship anymore"?
Yeah.
You know,
I know.
And that's where everybody is different for what they believe is worth it.
Yeah.
You know, and
my girlfriend's super awesome too. I mean, she comes to, like, since we've been dating, she's missed maybe like a handful of shows, man. She's like the most supportive person.
That's awesome.
So
That's
I can't
fantastic.
even. In my mind, in the end, what I see happening is I want to get like one of those old school Airstreams and just set it up really nice, or even have like a big van. Just I've seen some really nice setups in, like, you know, just smaller RVs or big vans.
Yeah.
You know, that you could just live in, and I would like to do that. I've never even been a person that's like wanna own a house, and I'm not knocking anybody if that's what you want, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Fucking go own your house, you know. But it's just never really been something that I've been focused on. I was like, I want to fucking like
see the
$100,000 RV and just travel and just go places, and it would just fit what I eventually see myself doing full time down the road, you know.
Yeah.
So it's.
Can you imagine just doing like guest spots all over North America? Like you show up in Milwaukee in your RV. Like I'm gonna do a 15-minute set over at Laffy Taffy for one fucking evening, and then you take off and you're in New Orleans doing a set at some other comedy club. You just kind of touring around in your RV.
Yeah, man. Like don't get me wrong. Like I wanna be good at what I do, but I'm not chasing fame by any means. I'm just wanting to make a living doing what I love. Once I can make the living, everything else is just, you know, the icing on top, or the
crazy.
Cherry on top. You know what I mean?
For real.
So
Absolutely, man. I hear
yeah,
you.
brother. But yeah, so we talked about this Tokyo treat. Some snacks from Japan. You pick one, I'll pick one, and then we'll get into our top 5.
We do it blind, or do I look at it?
I mean, you can do whatever you want, brother.
I'm gonna do blind. We'll blind. Hang on.
I think I'm gonna grab these. What you got?
What?
All right, so
well, it's a carrot thing.
We got this.
It feels kind of like sugar crisps. Hey, Sugar Crisps. My daughter and I have this conversation. Is it a raccoon or a bear? Think on that.
Oh my God.
Can't get enough of them Sugar Crisps. But what is it that sings? Is it a raccoon or a bear? I think it's a bear.
You think it's so weird because like I can't remember what it looks like, but when we're saying it, I hear the voice.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's a pretty deep voice. It reminds me of Baloo.
Yep.
I want to say it's like a bigger animal. I want to say bear, but I really can't remember what he looks like at all.
Oval face, like striped sweater, like the Freddy Krueger of bears. You know, right? I said bear. I think my daughter said raccoon, but
I want to say bear. That's what I have to see him. Where the hell is this carrot thing, man? Did I miss it?
There it is, right there.
Boom. Carrot Ari?
A rare? A nostalgic, right out the gate, it's nostalgic. It's going to remind me of something, right? A nostalgic treat that's been loved by kids and adults alike for generations. It's filled with sweet puffed rice, light snack. So I told you, it's fucking Sugar Crisp. I knew it. I knew when I felt it. It must be like Sugar Crisp.
I am going to get something that's not sweet, actually, because I don't know. You can't eat Kit Kats, yeah? You're diabetic, right?
Well, I can have a little, like I when I was in Epcot Center in Disney World in Florida, we go to the Japan Pavilion all the time, and I got matcha flavored Kit Kats.
Okay.
And that was something else.
Okay.
I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. We'll say that.
It was weird. I grew up, and my aunt, she was diabetic, and so we had a lot of like. Just go to Bulk Barn and get like sugarless candies and stuff. So like, in a weird way, like I have like I like that shit, you know, because I ate. It was just what was around, so I ate it. Well, sometimes got in trouble for eating too much than I should have. You know,
any parent will tell you, your child does not come out of the womb craving Haagen-Dazs until you put that spoon in their mouth. They don't fucking know it exists. So a lot of parents will give the kids no treats for a very long time, or parenting tip for all you new parents out there: when you're giving them fruit veggies during dinner, you give the fruit last, because they taste that sweet fruit. They will not put beans in their mouth. They will not, and that's the real thing. So you don't know about candy if all you're eating is sugar-free candy, and then the moment you have a fucking Mr. Big, you just cream in your jeans because it's so intensely sweet that you don't know what to do with yourself. But this is a real thing, man.
That's good, man. I always ask parents if you could go back in time and give yourself any kind of advice for like to prepare better.
Yep.
What would it be?
Oh, I know that for sure. I can tell you right now, not even thinking what it's going to be. I would go back in time. I would get in the DeLorean. I would go right back to 1991. I would look at myself and I go, "Hey, relax." And I go and I leave. So I'd say, "Hey."
You stress a lot about it early on.
I stress a lot about everything. I you know what? All joking aside, parenting came real easy to me. My wife and I wanted kids, but I really wanted kids. I really wanted to be a dad. I am not perfect by any means. I'm not even a perfect dad, but I think that my responsibility is to help make these little humans and raise them to a point where they can go into the world and leave something for other people, whether it be art or whether it be if they want to build a bridge and join a trade, or they want to be a doctor and save a life, or whatever it is they want to do. I need to know that they can contribute and leave something behind. And I think that at the end of the day, I know that all of my kids are all super awesome in their own way, and no matter what happens, people will remember the things they do. And I've never been more confident about anything in my entire life that being a dad was definitely the right move. I would still tell myself to relax. I would just fucking calm down.
It's gonna be all right.
It's gonna be all right. I'd still say that. But hindsight's 2020. Now that I'm here, now that my baby is 16, my youngest is 10. Now that I don't have babies anymore, I can kind of see the fruit of
I didn't do too bad.
I didn't fucking kill. Listen, I said this. We were having a conversation a few weeks ago, my wife and I said, just stop and think for a second. Like, we took 3 little things, and we first off, they lived in me, and in this very small condo, and then I put them in you to a much larger apartment, and then from that apartment we brought them into the real world, and if you just walk away for a second, they die. If you don't feed them, they'll die. If you do too much of anything, they will die. And we did this from birth to teenagers 3 times. And they are still breathing. Okay? Being a parent is a fucking achievement. The fact that you just can't leave, you can't leave a baby there. Because it can't walk to get, a fucking Fanta. You gotta give them the Fanta if they're thirsty. You can't just say, here you go, learn some shit and then get a job. Because they don't know anything. They're fucking babies. So you gotta teach some shit, and then maybe they'll use that shit you taught them and get a job. And that job your kid got, that's you getting that fucking job. It's because you taught them that shit that now got them the opportunity to get that job. And at the end of it, they did not die. And I did that 3 times. So I think it's a pretty huge fucking achievement for any parent to say that they raised something, fed it, watered it, nurtured it, loved it, taught it to be the best person it could be, taught it not to be a fucking asshole, taught it to respect people and trust people and love people and do the right thing even when sometimes it's not the right thing, because it is the right thing if you think it's the right thing. And if you get that child to grow up thinking those things, and then they have a kid, and then they teach that kid that shit, now all of a sudden there's this whole legacy of people that you started teaching their kids how to be better people, then this world won't be so fucking terrible. Because you're going to fill it with people.
That's where it starts.
And that's where it starts. And I think that is a huge achievement for any parent. And that's my biggest achievement, to know that I'm leaving this world with in the hands of people who respect it the way I do and know how to treat people the way I do, and hopefully make it better than when I was around. That's my 2 cents, and I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, you should be proud of that for sure.
All right, I think we got both rice things. So, Japanese do tend to like their rice, though. Rice and corn.
Rice and corn.
Yeah. Oh, this smells funky. I don't know. What is it? Oh, I was going to eat it.
Dude, it's a fucking sugar crisp. They should put a bear squirrel in this thing, not a bunny. Or a bear raccoon, whatever it is. Maybe it's a squirrel. It could be a squirrel.
Man.
Is that what it is? A squirrel?
The sugar crisp. You know what?
These are good, though. They're sweet, but they're not overly sweet. Look how much sugar's in this thing. Oh, it's in Japanese. I'm never going to know anyway.
Oh, fuck it.
Listen, I go into a diabetic coma before I walk out of your front door. You'll know it's too much sugar in it.
They don't taste too sweet.
What's that thing?
These are fried rice crackers. It says yuzu salt, I think. These definitely aren't sweet. They kind of smell like...
It tastes like a pork rind. Like an old school pork rind. But like a rice pork rind.
It's not bad.
No, I'd fuck with that. All day. I'd eat that thing all day. I'm more savory than I am sweet.
I am too, man.
Yeah. Like if you say to me, I got some eclairs or a charcuterie board, I'm going for the cheese and the crackers every time.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't mess around with cheese, man.
I'm not big on candy, but I do like chocolate every once in a while. But I definitely am more savory.
I like Reese's Pieces. If I'm gonna pick candy, I love Reese's penis. Reese's penis. God damn!
Shout out to Reese.
Shout out to Reese and his penis. If I'm gonna have a penis, it's gonna be Reese's. I'm a big fan of anything. Fuck this banana. Reese's penis or a banana. And I like phallic desserts. If we're gonna go there,
okay,
I think this is where we're going. Fuck hell.
You got it, I think.
Oh shit. See, the Viking beer does not really go well with
Buddy, I wish I could grow one. You don't even want to see what this looks like when it doesn't look much more impressive than this. This is.
I had a little goatee. I was on paternity leave with my last when Ruby was born. Michelle said she wanted to go back to work, and I said, "Cool, I'd love to try paternity leave." So so it was a C-section. So Michelle stayed home for 2 months because you have to stay home to heal from the C-section. And then after 2 months, she went back to work. She's a teacher, and I was with Ruby. Then for 10 months on paternity leave, and I had just a little goatee, and I said, "I'm going to see how much beard I can get in 9 months of being on pat leave." And I went from goatee to literally this in 9 months. Now, I don't know if I can do this again. I think I'm scared. I'm like Samson. If I shave this off, all my power is gone. I don't know if I can grow it back the same way again because of my age. So I don't want to fuck with it.
Yeah? Play it safe then.
I think so.
All right, I guess we'll get into top 5. Is there anything you wanted to start? Let's start with superheroes and get that out of the way. And I think we'll end with collector's items because you brought one thing and I brought one thing in here. So
I'm gonna break the veil, and I have my list because I'm.
No, do it, man. I was really close to googling the Sugar Crisp character, but I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. But I can't. No, it's okay. Use your phone.
My memory is so bad. Also, if this episode is not called Sophie's Choice with Chris and Paul, I'll be very upset because you asked me for top 5, and I said I'm giving you top 5 with one honorable mention under protest because this is bullshit. I gotta pick 5 of the things that I love. I'm just gonna say it right now. It's fucking bullshit. So you want me to start with heroes? You said superheroes?
Yeah, let's do superheroes first.
Are you okay? There's no specific order. Do you want 1 to 5?
You don't have to do them in any order. I usually do them in order, but you can do it however you want, man.
These are kind of in order. 1 is definitely 1. Okay. I love my number 1. Number 1, Daredevil. I love Daredevil. I love the fact that he's just a guy and he's blind. And I love the fact he will fuck you up and not even know where you are. I love that about Daredevil. I always have when I was a kid. Ant-Man. I loved Ant-Man growing up. But Paul Rudd as Ant-Man might be hands down my favorite superhero movie in the MCU of all time.
Oh, it's one of my favorites too.
I love him.
Honestly, the first one.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
It's so I like Ant-Man and the Wasp, but him, just the dynamic with him and Luis.
Yeah.
That motherfucker should be in every MCU movie. By the way.
Yeah. 100%.
Batman. I grew up with DC, so Batman's on that list, and Superman. Batman, Superman. They're interchangeable. I love that Superman is essentially unable to be beaten except for kryptonite. A lot of people don't like him because he's immortal for the most part. But I think your superhero should be super. I think they should be able to catch a fucking planet falling out of the sky if he wants to. Like that's a definition of super, right? Mm-hmm. I don't, whatever. So I love Superman. Spawn. Yes. Spawn is number 5. I was really big into 90s cartoons. Spawn, the Max. I loved all the things that were really darker. James O'Barr's The Crow, things like that. And I would argue, I would fight anybody that The Crow is a superhero, hands down, because of, what his power set is. But I love how gritty Spawn was. I love that he was working for Satan. Or Melboja, whatever demon of that circle of hell. And then my honorable mention is Captain America. Captain America, for the same reason I like Superman for DC. I just think he exemplifies everything that you would want a superhero to be. I got a soft spot for the Boy Scout. He just does the right thing for the right reasons, and he'll put himself in a line of fire for you. And he's not angry like Daredevil is or Punisher. Mm-hmm. He's just there because it's the right thing to do, and I love that Boy Scout vibe. So Daredevil, Ant-Man, Batman, Superman, Spawn, honorable mention, Cap.
Dig it. Dig it. I like Spawn. Spawn is like one that's not really mentioned a lot. A few people have mentioned him, but did you hear that Jamie Foxx is going to be playing Spawn in a future movie?
The last I heard was that Todd McFarlane wanted to make Spawn fucking fog or a mist. You hear about this shit? He did this interview and he's like, Spawn doesn't have to be a guy. Spawn doesn't have to be Al Simmons back from the grave, a mercenary soldier kicking ass. Spawn can be anything. Spawn can be like fog. I'm like, fuck, don't you fucking make Spawn fog.
Oh, don't do that.
Don't do that.
That's a bad idea. I love Todd, but that doesn't sound like a great idea. Not every Stan Lee idea was great. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Sometimes the greats have some real shitters. So,
you know what happens. Can't be on point all the time. I'll go through mine quick.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So Batman's number 1.
Yep.
I'm gonna go. I have a big thing with like humans. I love humans as just
not super, but they have their mind or their tech makes them extraordinary.
And they just because I think they're especially when like most of the stuff I take in is like comic books and stuff. So like the stories are just more interesting. They have more to lose. I just so the first 3 are gonna be. So Batman and then Red Hood, we could argue where he stands, but for me, he's mostly a good guy. Like, he did a run with my third, who's Arsenal.
Yep.
And they have a series together, Red Hood and Arsenal.
Yeah.
They're like these Joker kind of heroes for hire and shit.
Yeah.
And it was a really great series.
Yep.
And then I'm going, fuck.
Sure, Red Hood is Todd, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me do it over again. So, Batman Ninja Turtles, and I gotta put them in one spot. Okay, this is this is arguable, and this is something I did recently. The very first episode I did of this, my buddy was like, "You can't put them," and then eventually, somewhere along the line, I was like, "Because for me, my introduction to all of this was Batman, Ninja Turtles, and Spider-Man," and so I feel really for a long time I didn't put Ninja Turtles on there, and then I was like, "Fuck it, it's my podcast." I was tired of disrespecting them, but. Ninja Turtles as a group, number 2. Red Hood, Arsenal. Then I'm gonna go Spider-Man.
Yep.
And then honorable mention, I guess either Shazam or Constantine. I really like Constantine.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And see now, I'm gonna give you any day of the week. I'm gonna give you Turtles, but I did not think heroic characters when you said superhero. Okay. Because I would have been like. Fucking Duke from G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
You
could have, to be real. You could. I've had people pick their parents. Or
dude, I hope at some point in our future we find ourselves back here again and we can talk about heroic people that aren't necessarily superheroes.
Okay.
And that would be a good top 5.
That would be good. That would be a good one.
For sure.
All right. What are you thinking next?
You want to do just one more set, or are we going through them?
Let's go through them.
Okay. Scores, music scores.
Music scores. All right.
You want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I can start. Now mine are. There's 3. Okay, so number 1 and number 2 are Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2. For me, this is just my movies. I literally don't listen to any other Christmas music around Christmas time than like the songs that are in both of those movies.
Buddy.
And DMX's Rudolph. Gotta toss that in there every once in a while, But yeah, so what's his name too? I'm drawing a blank. John. This is really disrespectful. He's done so much.
Williams?
John Williams, thank you. I knew his name. I was thinking, never mind. It doesn't matter. Dark Knight, number 3.
Yep.
Joker.
Yep.
I got that from my girlfriend on vinyl, and I listened to it.
That's a sick.
It's just
soundtrack.
Yeah, it's not even just like the. What is it? They use a lot of cellos and
Now when you say soundtrack again, this could be another day topic too.
Okay.
But are you thinking, or were you thinking exclusively instrumental or curated music as a soundtrack?
I was thinking all of it. All of it.
So did I.
Yeah.
So did I, because
with including the songs that.
Yeah. Because if you got a version of in Home Alone, do 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 do.
Yeah.
I'm dreaming of a white...
Right.
That version. I love that version of that fucking like Burl Ives song.
That song,
I love that version. But that's not like the Home Alone like theme song. It isn't the symphonic. It's a song on the soundtrack.
But I'm considering both because I really like I saw them do like the TSO does movies and they'll do all the other than the actual songs.
Yeah.
They do everything in between, the whole score of the movie. And so they did it to Home Alone. They did Harry Potter too. They do a bunch of movies.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good and
cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm considering all of that shit. So
Home Alone 1, Home Alone 2,
Dark Knight,
Joker,
and then I'm going Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But I also I think for me the first three, they're all John Williams. He's just a legend. I think he's probably the best at doing it ever. And I don't know what one I would put first. Maybe the first one.
We never talked about Criteria, right? But just as an aside, Criteria.
Okay.
When you hear you know it's fucking Harry Potter.
Right.
So in what you'll see on One of Mine, Criteria in my mind when I was thinking about this question is what is instantly noticeable the second you hear it, whether you're a fan of that film or not.
Okay.
That was part of my criteria.
I like that.
You know?
I like that. Williams has so many too.
This is the thing. Full disclosure, we didn't talk about that beforehand.
No.
We just kind of we didn't talk about, well, it has to be something people know. You just wanted to know top scores, right?
Yeah.
But in my back of my mind, somewhere deep down, as Dennis Leary would say, somewhere in the subcoccals, or even in the spleen, somewhere deep down. That's where I got that from. I had to be something that I think people would know somehow, instantly.
All right.
I think.
So what are we doing? What you got?
Here we go. Top 5 scores. Edward Scissorhands, number 1.
Okay.
Because Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
Because Danny Elfman. We'll stop there. That's why. Jurassic Park.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Tell me you don't have a single fucking tear come down your eye when you hear that. One tear. One. Your eye will spare one tear because it hits you right in the fucking feel. So Jurassic Park. Number 3, Big Trouble Little China.
Oh, I don't know if I've seen that. Yeah. Sorry, man.
No, it's okay.
Big Trouble Little China. I know of it. Yeah. Might check it out.
You have to. It is Kurt Russell at his peak, and it is Chinese ancient martial arts, supernatural street gangs. It's everything you've ever wanted in an 80s movie, all rolled into one with this beautiful synth John Carpenter soundtrack. Because Carpenter is one of the best composers on the planet. Full stop. And he composes all of his own movies, so it's like this. It's this perfect, directed by, written by, scored by. And that's the thing too. When a director is scoring the film, he already knows in his head what he wants it to sound like.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And it's really kind of it's very symbiotic. The visual with the music of the visual. So Big Trouble in Little China is number 3 for me. Number 4 is The Crow. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to more of a curation of music, less of a soundtrack. I snuck into the Westwood Theater when I was underage, because back then it was 18 plus rated R, and I saw The Crow and Buddy Jim. And I'll never forget that moment. Again, back to cinema again.
Yeah.
Sneaking into a theater to see The Crow and hearing hearing The Cure and hearing Nine Inch Nails and hearing that, all that really cool 90s grunge industrial music. And that film kind of screams 90s grunge goth. It oozes grunge goth, right? So I was all about that at the time. Halloween, another Carpenter. I love 1979 Halloween. Again, you hear that.
Yeah, there's nothing.
You know that. Every Spirit Halloween store has that song playing in the theater on October. Everyone knows that little piano. It's such a simple little piano piece that everyone just knows. So, and then my honorable mention is Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Because it's so epic, and when you hear it, I think you know Indiana Jones. So, Scissorhands, Jurassic Park, Big Trouble in Little China, The Crow, Halloween '79, and honorable mention Indiana Jones. Like fucking, okay, not Crystal Skull. Anything but Crystal Skull and Indiana Jones, but Indiana Jones.
No, I dig that. There's only one I don't know. All the other ones are freaking dope.
Right?
What you were saying about The Crow, though, I snuck into the theater when I was young, underage, to see South Park, like, twice.
For real.
Yeah, the bigger, longer uncut.
Yeah.
That was my Crow. Yeah, it was
That's
good
awesome.
times.
I was at work years ago with a girl. She was 19 at the time. We just hired her, and we were talking about movies she loves or whatever. And I'm like, I love The Crow. And she looked at me. She went, "What?" And that's when I knew, like, I was too old. Like, to have someone not know who The Crow was, I had a pit in my stomach, and I was like, "What? Can you not know what The Crow was?" I was so hurt that someone didn't know what The Crow was. But if out there you're listening and watching, and you don't know what The Crow is, fucking go watch that movie. It's so
classic,
good,
man.
It's so Paul Chris approved. Is that movie? You want to pick? Want me to pick the next one?
You can do it, man.
Do
it up.
Sports video games.
All right.
Sports.
You can start with this one.
All right. So I am really gonna show my age here, folks, and I don't know how many of these games people actually remember.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go real old first.
That's cool. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do it up.
Skitchin.
Don't know that one.
So Skitchin was a game in the early 90s when rollerblading was the fucking craze. And this game, you were a rollerblader. And so you were skating while grabbing onto the bumpers of cars to get around the town.
Okay.
Kitchen.
Okay.
Skitchin.
Gotcha.
And you would have to, like, skitch on a bumper and then let go at the right moment to jump and do a trick and then grab onto the bumper to keep going down the next level. And it was kind of open world, but kind of rail. And the whole thing was like, it was like Tony Hawk. But you were projected forward by hitching onto the bumpers of moving trucks and cars through a city. Okay. And that was on Sega Genesis.
All right.
And I remember this game because I never owned a Sega. I was a Nintendo guy, but my best friend Mark had a Sega. And that was the first game his parents bought him, so we played that fucking thing to death. Side note, when we were kids, you got like 2 games a year. Christmas and birthday. You didn't get a game a week as they came out, right?
Yeah.
They were so expensive. I spent $107 cash for Super Street Fighter 2. Okay, that's to kind of give you an idea for a cartridge what it cost back then. So I got 2 a year. So when Skitchin came out, we fucking played Skitchin. 2 NHL 93.
All right.
Regardless of console, the greatest NHL version of them all. So great that you had to say to your buddies, "No wraparound goals." And if you know, you know. But if you don't know, when you went behind the net to do a wraparound, even if you were manually controlling your goalie, the goalie got stuck on the post. And as soon as you came around, the open side, the far side, was always open. Yeah. You always got a goal. So you'd have to say to your buddies, "No wraparound goals." Okay? No wraparound goals. That was our voice back then. No fucking wraparound goals. We were high as fuck. Tony Hawk 1.
Yes.
Obviously, the game alone, but soundtrack. That game introduced a generation of kids to music that would introduce them into other music, and it was just a bonanza of game and music coming together to create this perfect product. Again, we are watching through the glasses of nostalgia. This might not hold true.
No, but there's a reason that they re-released the first and second Tony Hawks. Because those are like,
they're solid games.
Yeah.
SNES Royal Rumble. This was at the peak of my love of wrestling when it came off of like cable access and became like the real thing. So Nintendo released a game and it had fucking everybody I wanted it to have. It had Ultimate Warrior, and it had Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and it had Hogan, and it had Andre the Giant. They had characters who shouldn't have been together because of the era they were in. You know, like fucking Warrior should not be fighting Andre the Giant. But they were in there. And it was just my first experience with a wrestling game, and the whole game was just a Royal Rumble, which in my opinion is the best wrestling event of all time.
I remember that game. That's a good game.
Even older, NES, the original Nintendo, Baseball Stars.
Okay.
This was like where the guy was like Slugger Jim and Speedy Jack.
Yeah.
And the big guy, you could build the character. And the big guy was a big slugger, guaranteed home run. The small guy, the averages of hitting the ball were low, but he was fast to run around the bases if he wanted to steal. And it was, I don't want to say RPG. That's giving it too much credit. But you had to plan your skinny guy versus strong guy based on the kind of game you wanted to play.
And I'm pretty sure I played that.
I thought this was revolutionary for the time. Based on the power of a 8-bit system, this was revolutionary. And then, honorable mention, Mario Kart. I don't give a fuck, man. Karting, driving, anything in a car is a sport. The level of athleticism you have to control a car is athlete level. And Mario Kart was the greatest culmination of video game and fun ever made on this planet. You will never play a game more fun than Mario Kart.
What one though? 64?
No, fuck that one. Super Nintendo.
Oh, okay.
And N64 put this algorithm in where anytime you were first, you were guaranteed to get hit by a blue shell.
Huh.
It was almost too hard to win on the 64 version. They toned that down in the GameCube and the Wii and the Wii U and the Switch versions. But in that particular iteration of the game, winning was not an option. They were going to fuck you, and fuck you with some crazy shit. Blue shells, lightning bolts, fucking raining locusts, whatever. The shit would happen that shouldn't have even happened in that game just so you wouldn't win in the first place.
It's funny because I actually got into a conversation. I worked somewhere and one of the servers heard me talking shit in the back, and I wasn't really giving drivers, I guess, the respect. I was ignorant at the time, as to what, conditioning and stuff, actual race car drivers go through. And one of the servers, her whole family was, drivers, bro. And she fucking ate me up. And she was she didn't. She was just basically approaching me how I was, approaching the whole thing. And she just kind of came at it with this attitude and was like, "You're wrong. This is why you're wrong." 10 minutes later, I was like, shit, I didn't know, and so, but I really didn't consider that when I was doing this list, but Mario Kart is one of my favorite games of all time, on whatever system, to be honest.
For sure.
I have it on 64, but it's okay.
It's fine. No judgment.
Okay, so a lot of mine are older as well, but No Mercy, WWE No Mercy is my favorite. It's a wrestling game.
Yep, for sure. Yep.
I think it's probably considered maybe the best wrestling game of all time by super nerds.
Yep.
Then I'm going Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Yep.
This was the reason I started skipping school when it first came out. And I mean, so there was PlayStation it came out for 6 months before it came out for N64.
Yep.
And so when I got it for 64, then I started just it was so much skipping of school.
Yep.
And then I'm going Blitz 2000.
Yep, for real.
NBA Jam.
Wow!
Classic.
That was the struggle for me. I left it off my list, and that was my struggle. Because I wanted to add that so bad. Thank you for saying that. Thank you so much.
It's a great game, though.
Thank you so much.
And then I'm going Mario Golf. I have a lot of memories playing Mario Golf with 4 friends on a couch.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm coming from with Mario Golf.
I know. Listen, fuck it. It's our game, so we can change the rules on the fly. I don't give a shit. Honorable mention. Blades of Steel.
Oh, that was good. Yeah, that was.
And
good.
that was the first time really you got hockey on a console.
Yeah.
And that was and again, that rule, you can't shoot from the blue line. Because you fucking score, shoot from the blue line. You're deeking around, just shoot it, it'll go in, and it did every fucking time. Every time it went in. So Blades of Steel.
I feel a lot of hockey games. There's one for Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey too, when that first came out.
Yeah.
It was also the wraparound.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't know if they still. It's been a while. But honestly, most of my games, or if all my games, are like really old. I guess if I was considering a newer sports game, I would say the UFC ones. But
yeah, they're good, for sure.
Yeah.
Or any of the 2K, basketball, Madden, football. These are all very fun.
Madden are consistently good.
Yes,
that's the thing.
Yeah, and I left them off my list because I thought for this event, saying something like Madden and 2K is boring as fuck. Because everyone plays games that are good. I wanted to give some games that might be a little more left field, a little more.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or like I said before, maybe someone now will go look for Skitchin. Support your local video game store. There's a place called Game Horde. They sell old games.
I like that.
Go into those places, get an old Sega console for like $60. Fucking find Skitchin. Like go support these guys who are doing this kind of retro gaming and buy that console and play that game. PSA.
There it is. Coming back, man.
For real.
Back.
We have. Do we have music?
Yeah, let's do music genres and then we'll end on collectors.
We'll end on collectors? Okay. Yeah. You want to go music first?
Sure.
Okay.
Metal off the top.
Yep.
All subgenre. Well, I wouldn't say all. Like I'm not into like really like death, black metal stuff, but like most of the heavy stuff, new metal. Like I'm all over. Really heavy music is my shit.
Me too.
Yep. I go hip hop.
Yep.
Punk rock.
Yep.
And I was like torn. I was like, there's so much rock. I could have just put rock as one, but I also for number 4 I put hard rock because it's not necessarily metal. There's
the Guns N' Roses,
the double drum, like harder.
Motley Crue, like that. Yeah, is that harder rock?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go reggae.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
I would never have thought that. See, bad form. Never assume what someone's into by your outward appearance, your perception of them. I would never thought you would have said reggae, but that's dope as fuck.
My foster dad is Jamaican. All my foster brothers are Jamaican, so nice. I was raised. I like a lot of ska as well, too.
Yeah.
But
great, man.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Yeah, listen. I'm going to say this out of the gate first. The music is good when you hear it with your heart first before your ears hear it.
Do you get goosebumps
all the time?
Yeah.
Music makes me cry. There's a song right now, off of the Station 11 soundtrack. Station 11 is a show on Amazon Prime that if you haven't watched it, you got to like stop your life now.
I've seen it on there. I haven't watched it yet though.
It's beautiful. And there's a song called Captain, I Need to Ask You to Do Something Very Difficult. And the song alone is so powerful. I get teared up every time I listen to it. But when you listen to it after watching the show and understanding what scene that song is scoring, heartbreaking. And that's what music is to me. Music needs to hurt your heart first before your ears even hear it. I'm just saying.
I like that.
So music genres. This is tough because these are all like 1A, 1B, 1C. I have lots of ones.
Okay.
So I got to settle those. So industrial. I love industrial metal. I love what Skinny Puppy kind of inspired to be Ministry, what inspired to be Nine Inch Nails, what inspired to be your kind of current industrial metal acts like Fear Factory and
I was actually set up to see Fear Factory and Static X. They're supposed to come
before Burton left the band, or with the new singer.
What?
Because Burton left through Fear Factory.
Oh no, this was like March this year. They were supposed to come this year, and then they canceled it and rescheduled till next year. Yeah, basically just pushed it a year, so they'll come back.
Their new record is fantastic. It's the best one in years. Prog rock. Number 2 for me. Not all prog rock. And I know this is muddy, but Tool is my favorite band of all time, and they're kind of like the leaders of that. But then you got bands like Mastodon and Meshuggah who do kind of like tech metal or progressively like longer, traditionally prog rocky.
What about like Primus? Would you consider them?
See, Primus I feel is almost more like experimental because they go from something like Winona's Big Brown Beaver, which is like very like quarter time classic, and then the stuff he's done with Buckethead, which is very like jazzy and avant-garde. So I don't know if they're progressive more than they are like groovy or avant-garde. But again, I listen. I don't like this whole like, that's like a screamo. That's like a grindcore, sludgecore, only distortion core. I don't fuck off. Whatever. Like there's so many cores out there, so I have a hard time getting separating it like that. Black metal. I love black metal. Of all the heaviest metals, I love fucking like Watain and Behemoth. Portal, I love Portal, but Portal's like avant-garde black metal. Essentially, they're just like a wall of noise. It's very hard to get an ear for them, but they're like, I love high-pitched screams. Like not King Diamond, like operatic stuff, but I like when, like death metal, you got that low end, and black metal is more of a kind of like a screechy high end. I love that. That's my favorite kind of screams. That high pitched scream. There's a band called Deaf Heaven right now. They're like a modern band. They look like they belong in a fucking Gap ad, and they're out of San Francisco, I think, and they're doing it so good.
Deaf
Heaven.
Deaf Heaven.
Okay. If you like heavy music but heavy melody, these guys I would highly recommend you check out. So industrial, prog rock, black metal, death metal, Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, classic double bass, is low end. I love angry, fucking skull crushing metal. I love. Sometimes I listen. I get angry. Ooh shit. Little too cranked up there on that one, but I get
making bacon and eggs.
Yeah. I'm like smashing the fucking eggs and whipping the fucking pancake, and then my 6 is specifically New York hip hop.
Okay.
I love Nas. Illmatic turned like 40 years old or something like last week. It had an anniversary just on Monday. Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
LP. I love LP and Killer Mike as Run the Jewels.
Yes.
Better, but I know that's kind of like Atlanta, New York. So if I want to say just New York, I'll say just LP. I do like a lot of hip hop, but I prefer there's this kind of grimy sound of like East Coast hip hop that like the West Coast stuff. It always sounds a little more overproduced to me.
No, I know what you mean. Philly and like Boston kind of has it, but it really just like bleeds over from New York, you know?
Yeah, and I love Atlanta. I love Southern. When you hear Atlanta hip hop, it sounds Southern. It's like the same way I like Pantera because they're like groove metal. They feel kind of like Texas. They feel Southern, and Atlanta hip hop feels like it's dripping in swag and dripping in this like Southern culture, and that's why I like Killer Mike, and I like Run the Jewels kind of feels more, I think, more Atlanta metal or Atlanta rap than does New York rap, but I don't not like Dre and Snoop and artists out of the West. I just think it feels very polished. It's very produced and very clean, where New York seems to be like
just grittier.
Grittier.
Yeah. I get it.
That's
what you mean.
So industrial, prog rock, black metal, death metal, and then New York hip hop would be my top.
All right. And then we will end with collector's items.
Collector's items.
So, you can start. No, you know what? I'll start.
Okay.
Fuck it. Just because I saw your thing, and I'm sure you're going to go into a bit at the end, and I'm interested.
Yeah,
so.
sure.
All right, so my number one is for sure this bad boy. It's easily the most expensive comic I have. It's Batman #1, Volume 2, signed by Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder.
I have this
in gold.
I have this signed by Snyder.
You do?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. It's like, I mean, I would never be able to get a Volume 1 Batman #1, but I have like a couple of Volume 3.
Nice.
And I got this probably for, I don't know, I can't remember exactly how much it is now. But my buddy paid like double the price, and he hated me after I told him how much I got. It's like, it's all, for anybody that collects comics, this is usually the first one I'll bust out.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely that. And then I'm going, my second one would be the Watchmen series.
Yep.
The complete series. I have like every issue in like mint. I also have these original buttons that came out with like the first issue.
Yep.
And they're just like, basically the board is like a comic, so it just kind of sits in with my comics.
That's cool.
And then I'm going my Hybrid Theory Funko, which is like Linkin Park, like the soldier. And they started doing like album covers, and there's a couple more I want to get.
Nice.
But that was the first one I got. My girlfriend got it for me as like a surprise, just like randomly too, not even for anything. She's just like, "Oh yeah, here."
Is this post Chester passing away or pre?
Definitely post. This came, I think it was just released last year.
Oh, so brand new. Okay, cool.
And then I got a Rorschach painting, not like an actual
like Rorschach test, but like Rorschach from
Watchmen. Yep, nice.
Yeah, that came from Poland, I want to say.
Cool. That's
cool. So that's pretty cool. And then I don't know, I was just kind of like looking around at things and I was like, I'm pretty proud of this. I have the license plate from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the fresh license plate, the California one.
Nice.
I just have it on my wall, but I eventually want to like get some like sort of rear view mirror and some dice to hang like kind of by it.
Yeah, for real.
You know, so
yeah, dice in a mirror.
Yeah, man. So that's my 5.
So I'll do my 1 last.
All right.
That way you can pull it out last, I guess, right? So we'll go number 2. So number 2, My Pet Monster plush toy. This was a very expensive toy when I was a kid. It was like Teddy Ruxpin level expensive. My parents never got it for me. And my buddy Gary one day, all my tattoos are done by my closest friend Gary, who works out of Kitchener. And we were just chatting about, like, I call it Grail, Holy Grail collectibles. And he's like, yo, I got a Monzie in my fucking parents' basement. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, can I buy it off? He goes, fuck no. He goes you can have it. Oh. He goes, they're going to throw it away if they fucking see this thing down there because it's been there for 20 years. You can have it. He drove home to his parents' house, drove back, and went, here. And just gave me, like, my number 1 awesome, Holy Grail toy of all time. He used to come with orange handcuffs because in the cartoon, when his handcuffs were on, he remained a doll. And then when his handcuffs broke, he came alive and became My Pet Monster. And it's very hard to find a My Pet Monster with the orange handcuffs. I do not have the handcuffs, but I do always kind of keep my eyes open to see if someone's selling the handcuffs kind of by themselves. Because, when you were a kid, accessories always got lost, right? So, My Pet Monster with the handcuffs is my number 2. Number 3, their 1984 Real Ghostbusters collection. These guys had these proton packs where you spin the swizzle stick on the end and the proton laser would go like this, and it looked just like the Real Ghostbusters cartoon at the time. Each character came with slime that made me throw up. I couldn't stand the smell of the slime. It was so gross, but I always was like, maybe this time I would throw up every single time. I could not stand the slime smell, but I always wanted to smell it. So Real Ghostbusters, 1980 Star Wars Hoth playset. I've always wanted the Hoth playset, and for my wife's and I's first anniversary, she got me the 80 series and the 81. They released like an attachment, so you had both the Snow Planet Hoth playsets.
That's when you know, man. Keeper for sure.
Absolutely. Which is buying Star Wars toys. You lock that down. Castle Grayskull, the original He-Man Castle Grayskull. When I went to get my tonsils out, all I remember is waking up in the recovery room, and at the foot of my bed was Castle Grayskull, and my parents bought it for me. And I don't know if it was my mom or my dad, but one of them was like, let's bring it to the hospital so he has it when he wakes up. And all I remember is waking up like 4 years old, 5 years old maybe, and seeing this giant. It looked fucking huge at the time. Yeah. I have the original one still. I have that still. It's not very big, but it looked big when I was younger. And then my number 1, the ultimate Holy Grail, Boglins. Boglins were these little creatures that were created by Tim Clark back in 1987, and this was on the heels of the critter craze. So critters, ghoulies, gremlins, little monsters. There were lots of little monsters in movies, and Tim worked for Jim Henson, and he also invented Sectars, which was a toy of half insect, half humanoid characters, and then he created these Boglins things. And I got one, and somehow I lost it, and I always wanted one, and here we go. So this is actually, there are remakes that are out now.
Yeah.
But this is actually the original one. You can see it says 1987 on the box. It's got the Toys R Us sticker.
Nice. Wow, I didn't notice that at first. Yeah, that's awesome.
And they came with a hole in the bottom, so you could put your hand in, and then with your finger you could like, I can't do it with this hand. Hang on. It's not good for TV. You can.
Oh shit! That's so creepy.
So it's like you could like move his eyes around, kind of shit, and then you kept the box, and like the thing would open up. No, he's gonna get loose. He's gonna get loose, kind of thing. And my generation is an imagination generation. You know, these didn't they didn't do anything. You know, but what they did was what you wanted them to do.
I love it.
And I love I love monsters. It all goes back to monsters. I love creatures and monsters and goblins and this was just a line of little goblin toys and Tim has a whole lore about where the boglins live and where they come from. These old like 80s artist renditions of the boglin living under your bed and shit.
It's just not like, I mean, and obviously I'm older now, but even still, like, I buy toys for, you know, kids and stuff like that, and it's just like, I don't know, there's something about the older stuff. Like you said, maybe it's just because this is what we grew up with, or, you know?
It's very nostalgia based, but like I firmly believe in, I was the imagination generation. You know, I was in the backyard playing G.I. Joes, creating scenarios. I was playing Ninja Turtles meets He-Man meets Transformers, creating this idea
underwater,
in my head.
in the bathtub. What?
Right? Like, for real.
Yeah,
this is the world we lived in. Yeah. And these things were just like, it didn't do anything, but it did everything you wanted it to do. And, you know, it was like the grossest toy my parents ever bought me. And that was kind of cool because they didn't really buy me like gross toys. It was a little monster thing in a cage. So I was heartbroken when I lost it somewhere in my childhood, and then I was able to get my hands on a retro one, and then they remade some a few years ago, and I got one of those, and you know, it's really cool to see that something I love from 1987 is having a resurgence now. Mm-hmm. Like if you go into As Seen on TV, that store at Square One, you'll find these for sale like in the shelves again, and people have done boxed monsters before. There's a line called Crate Creatures, very similar to this. They'll have tongues, and when you pull the tongue, it snaps back in their mouth. They go, make some weird sounds and shit. Yeah. But they're nowhere near as cool. I bought one for my daughter, but I don't think she loves it the way that I loved this. And this is like it's not, I wouldn't say my most valuable, but in my heart, the toys that I mentioned are the most important to me as a collector of cool collectible shit. So there it is.
I think it's actually funny that you're saying that, but I think it's actually very rare that I've come across someone that's like, this is special because it's the most expensive thing. Like, it's very rare that happens. It's usually, you know, things like this. And this is like, granted, the most expensive comic I've paid for, but like, by any means, I have more expensive things. But this one just, you know, I wanted it since I started I stopped collecting comics in like high school, just moving around and shit, and then I picked it up again when New 52 started coming around. And
I collected trades then. I have probably 20 or 30 comic long boxes, and I'm like, I can't do singles anymore. So now I just buy trades. And if I want a cool storyline, I'll go to Chapters and spend $15, $20 or whatever it is on the collected works and put it on my bookshelf when I'm done. But you know, I know, like, there are a lot of like valuable collectibles, but even now, like if I go to a toy convention, I don't want something from 1985 new in the package. Mm-hmm. And that's cool, but I want the thing that I had and lost. So I have all the Dinobots. Mm-hmm. That was my honorable mention. I got all the original Dinobots and their weapons. And I bought them loose because I played with them loose and I had them loose. So now I wanted my toys back. I didn't just want Dinobots. I wanted my Dinobots back. And all my toys, my wrestling toys and my rubber toys and all the things that I have, I've never bought new. I've always got at a flea market or a garage sale, heavily played with, because that's how I remember it when I had it as in my collection. And I know a lot of people say, why don't you go for like the newer one? Why don't you go for the newer one? I don't want the new one. I don't want it mint in package. I want it the way I remember it being. Yeah. So that's how I collect.
Oh, I get it, man. I totally get it. Before we get out of here, guess we'll end with one of these bad boys each. I'm going to take this one. You pick one.
All right.
ask you first. You must move to another country for the rest of your life. Which country do you choose and why?
Australia.
Ah, see. Okay.
My family, who by blood is my wife's family. My wife's cousin and her husband live there, but I love them more than almost anybody on this earth. I love them very dearly, and we went to visit there when Michelle was pregnant with our first daughter. We flew there and we snorkeled at the Great Barrier Reef, and we went to Sydney and saw the Opera House, and we just got a chance to kind of live that lifestyle and be there and be part of their world, because they live on the other side of the planet. Mm-hmm. Every Saturday night we Skype. Every Saturday night for the last 10 years. They're having lunch, and it's like 9 o'clock at night our time, and we Skype every Saturday and just talk about the week and talk about the day and talk about what I did on Elden Ring and what you did on Elden Ring, and did you see that new movie yet? And we just catch up on the week. And I wish very, very much that I could see them often and in person. There are a lot of places I'd love to be. Like, I'd love to go to Japan. I'd love to go back to Italy. I'd love to go to other places that I've been, but I'd rather go there because they have the people that I want to be with.
Fair, yeah.
So that's my answer.
Yeah, I think Australia is beautiful. Just the wildlife scares the shit out of me. Like the fact that there could, just be a giant spider or something in your toilet, or a snake just crawls its way through your front door. Just anything in the water. Like, but man, it does look beautiful. Right. Yeah. I don't know where I would go, to be honest, if I was thinking about it, but somewhere hot, man. Like, I'd like to go. I mean, I haven't traveled a lot, really. Like, very little, just really across Canada. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to maybe check it out somewhere hot, live there for...
Like Fiji or somewhere like rural and tropical.
Yeah, again, also, another one of my fears is, like, natural disasters. And luckily, we don't have to deal with that over here. But, like, absolutely. A lot of those hotter places, you have to, especially, like, the islands and stuff, there's just things that terrify me that I wouldn't want to live. And, like, it's crazy, too, to speak on how beautiful, like, the Bahamas and Jamaica and stuff are, that the people just live there and are like, we'll deal with it. This place is amazing.
It's so awesome, I'll deal with death.
Year. Yeah, it's wild, but, yeah.
I guess mine, then, for you is, share a past accomplishment of yours that others don't know about.
A past accomplishment, wow, that others don't know about? 39th episode of the podcast. I'm like, what don't people know about me?
This is a really tough one.
Frick. What have I done? I've done hardly anything with my life. Okay. I don't know if I've spoken about this. And I usually try to just do these kind of things, like, but before I started going to culinary school, mm-hmm. I had been going to this, I guess, food bank for a while. I don't know if this is actually going to fall into this, but this is what I thought of, so. And then, after I finished, started getting it, like, into better work and higher paying jobs and stuff like that. But at the very beginning, when I first got my first job in the culinary industry after going to school, I got, like, this, pretty decent checks that I wasn't used to getting.
Yeah, sure.
And I went and I spent, like, a few hundred, and I just went and brought a bunch of food to the food bank. Like, just by myself. I just went grocery shopping, and then I brought it all there, and I was like, thank you guys for fucking helping me through the years, Like,
absolutely.
Yeah,
that's
and
awesome.
I did a toy drive at my show in December, and I brought all the toys to the same place.
That's
so
cool.
I'm still...
That's really cool.
Yeah. It's in Brampton.
That's awesome. I'm having a similar trouble with that question because there's, like, I'm not really a closed book, and most of the accomplishments I have, most people know about.
I feel like you got to celebrate the victories, even if they're, even if, some people might view them as small. If you don't, fucking celebrate them,
Yeah, I think I think for me, okay, people know about this, but maybe don't understand the complexity of it. I lost my dad not too long ago, and it's been the hardest thing I've had to deal with ever in my life. Really, it's affected me, my life, my family's life. I'm usually sad all the time, and I think when I can get up and sit on the edge of my bed every morning and say, you gotta go to work, man. You gotta go, and you gotta make your kids lunches, and you gotta kiss your wife good morning, and you gotta be a husband and be a dad and be an employee. And you can be sad. You can carry that fucking baggage with you all day long, but you just gotta try your best to do what you need to do and make good on the responsibilities that you said you would, i.e., being an employee, being a husband, being a father. You got to make good on those things because it's not your wife's fault that her husband, is upset and thinks about maybe living isn't worth it anymore, and it's not your kid's fault, and they shouldn't be without a dad because you're fighting some shit, and it's not not your work's fault. They hired a person to do a job, and you got to do the job because that's why they hired you. So I think that for me, people know what I'm going through, but I don't think anybody really knows what it means for me to get up and function and not just say fuck it all. And that's a huge accomplishment to know that I don't give a shit what you think about me. It takes a lot for me to get up and do anything, to leave the house, to come here, to talk to you about cool stuff, like just like sitting outside and waiting to knock on your door. I was like, I'm not sure I can do this. I'm not sure I can be the person he wants me to be, or I'm not sure that people will want to hear what I have to say. I'm not sure people give a shit. Like, is this going to be the least listened to episode of his whole fucking podcast? Like, I think about these things, and usually it stops me from living. Usually, I don't do anything because I'd rather just not than face potential disaster, or maybe there's no disaster at all, but I created it in my head. Yeah. So for me, just doing those things and people understanding how much I have to really psych myself up to do it. I know everyone's going through shit. I'm not special by any means, and everyone's got their own crosses to bear, figuratively, I guess. Everybody's going through something, but just because other people are going through things doesn't mean that you're not also going through things. Yeah. And it's okay. It's okay that you think that something you've accomplished is worth it. Even though someone might have a harder struggle than you. Your struggle is still your struggle, and if you can find a way to get through that struggle, then you've made yourself better for one more day. And if I can do that next day, the next day, and the next day, and it's not always the next day. Some days, 3 or 4 or 5 days go by, and I'm not the person I should be. But the 6th day, if I'm the person I should be, then that's an accomplishment. So there's mine for what it's worth.
And I'm glad you came in, man.
Thanks, brother. It was so much fun.
All right. Do you think humans will merge with technology? If so, how will it change the world?
Yo, it's happening now.
I know, that's exact. When I was reading it, I was like, I feel like we're fairly merged right now.
I don't believe the majority of the people walking this earth in a first world society can function without posting their newest TikTok dance or commenting on something or telling someone through the anonymity of social media what they think about why they're wrong or why they're right or why they're stupid or whatever. I think we are so integrated with technology right now. It's not the Matrix. It's not cyborg arms. It's not implants in your eyes so you can see people's skeletons and shit. It's not sci-fi. I think this is what it means to be fully integrated with technology and not being able to break away. Because I tell you right now, the pandemic, that was bad. But if we lost internet access, there would have been a fucking riot. And
buddy, I don't know what episode, but I talked about this recently and how, like, just society would crumble. And I think, like, a lot of the people who lived a little bit before the internet was around, before every house had a computer and every pocket had a computer, those people will do a little bit better. But those people that have only been around with that stuff, they're not lasting very long, buddy.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Mine. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Share a time when someone was surprisingly generous to you.
That's interesting. I don't know if I've dealt with a lot of generosity overly. Do you have one off the top that you can think of? I can't think of. I'm trying to think.
Not excitingly, but I come from an Italian family. My wife is Portuguese, very European ideals. And when we got married, we were gifted a lot, and with those gifts came with my dad turning his basement into a basement apartment so we could live there rent free for a couple of years. And because of those things happening after our wedding, we were able to have enough to put down on a home and then move from that smaller home to a bigger home and that home to another home and kind of get myself into a point where I am near work and near my kids' school and near Michelle's school and near our family. And I could never be where I am today. I could never be where I am today if all of those people didn't help us in their own way after our wedding to kind of get us set up for success. So that's off the top of my head. That is the biggest kind of gesture of giving that I ever received, I think.
Okay. So I'm going to say, like I said, I was raised in foster homes, moved around a lot, but when I moved to Brampton and it was either I think it was late 99, like September, August of 99, I moved to Brampton and basically had the same foster parent. Like there was a couple times it switched around, but after about the first year living in Brampton, we got who I would call my foster dad, and he was just my foster dad from then on. Yep. I went through a lot growing up, and then once we got him, and he bought another house, and we all moved kind of into his house, and when I moved out, I was close to 17, but I was 16. My birthday's in January. I moved out just before school started, which would be, I guess, September, the year before, and I mean, I was young. I had my own place. People were partying at my house. And I ended up getting into drugs. And, like, there was a lot of stuff. And, like I said, he's the guy who kind of got me into the counseling for my alcohol stuff. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, I did a lot of stupid shit. Had parties and did stupid stuff. Got arrested. And no matter what, like, he was always... Even if it was like, okay, sometimes it'd be like, oh, this happened and this, and it'd be like, all right, well, there's a pretty unavoidable situation. Some circumstances are understandable, but most of them are he's just there for me and always like, oh, sorry, man, like I spent all my rent money on drugs and you'd fucking pay my rent sometimes. Wow. And like just after you move out of your foster, like, I don't know exactly how much people really know, but, like, your foster dad doesn't really have any responsibility to you after you're 18.
Yeah.
So in my 20s, there's no reason he needs to be coming and bailing me out and paying my rent.
He's played his part in that.
He's already done, and he's still going out of his way to just, make sure. And, like, man, like you said about, you wouldn't be where you are, I definitely... I don't even know if I'd be alive if it wasn't for him, to be honest. And like, obviously there's other people that have helped me, but he is one of the key figures in my life that who definitely went above and beyond,
Yeah. Shout out to people who do things that do not directly benefit them, but they want to see it benefit people they love. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the situation you and I are both in. Because we had people do something that would only make our lives better, and that in turn made their lives better.
Love is a beautiful thing, man. For
real.
I guess you can let these people know where to get at you if you want. We'll get out of here.
Shit, I post in a bunch of places at Chris Zenga on Instagram and on Facebook. I have my art stuff is the day after art, so any kind of art or stuff that I do. I post a bit about the book that I'm working on and just stuff that, but. Anything at Chris Zenga. I'm everywhere. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Instagram, right. And Facebook. I kind of play in all the areas, and that's how anyone can connect with me if they want to connect and say hi, and hopefully I can come back here and tell some more cool stories one day.
Yeah, man. Well, I will be here, sir.
Awesome.
Like always, this podcast is brought to you by Neon Light District. Hit them up. Use code PillowTalk to save 10%. And by the Great North Apparel. Hit them up. Use code PillowTalk to save 30%. Yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks, guys. Peace the fuck out.